How do you solve this problem in a country like India where every state has a different language? কিয় তহঁতি ইমান ইংলিছত কথা পাতিবলৈ এনেকা কয় হিচাপত ময়ো ক'ব পাৰো যে সব জায়গাত হিন্দী কিয় আছে ভাই আমাৰ আসাম আমি অসমীয়াত হেৰি কৰিব পাৰো
পিয়ৰ অসমীয়া কা মানুহবোৰো they end up saying thank you. Why do you say thank you? Just say ধন্যবাদ. English to cure is a good thing to sell. কোনোবাই যেহেতু যদি English ভাল কয়, maybe he or she is more educated.
I don't accept as English to be as a benchmark.
আমি যদি ইমান বেছি কাম কৰি আছো, why are we not achieving more than the West?
আমি মানে সেই physical work to hard work বুলি কওঁ. These guys work so hard just because মই দিনটোত 5টা জাগাত গৈছো. That doesn't mean I have worked in all the 5 places.
I wouldn't agree with saying that we are the most hardest person, but we are the most ambitious for sure.
এটো ভাবিব নোৱাৰা যে মই 5 ঘন্টা কাম কৰিছো মই 5 লাখ টকা ইনকাম কৰিম
এমপ্লয়াৰ টু এমপ্লয়ী হিচাপে নচলে এমপ্লয়ী সদায় এমপ্লয়াৰ হিচাপে চলিব লাগিব এটো এনভায়ৰনমেন্টৰ ওপৰত ডিপেন্ড কৰে তোমাক যদি থৈছে এক্সপ্লয়েট কৰিবলৈ
College will give you a platform. Either how to expedite it is completely upon you. Just because তুমি fees to dila এখন MBA college that will not ensure you get a fucking job.
জব স্যাটিসফ্যাকশন কতো নাই
যে তুমি কামটো কৰি ভাল পোৱা নাই
মই বলে যদি আম্বানি যে খলো হয় মই বহি থাকিলো হয় বাদ দিয়া মানে একো কৰিব নালাগে
When I try to say that we compare ourselves with the West, it's not a fair comparison.
How do you see American people looking at India now?
Majority of the West, they outsource their work from India.
Did you face racism?
A lot.
Racism, casteism and so many things are just tools to achieve a certain result.
White থাকিব লাগে black থাকিব লাগে brown
I love the mix. Insightful to বেলেগকে কি বুলি কয় মই নাজানো হেতু কাৰণে মই insightful কৈছো আৰু
গহীন গম্ভীৰ
বেয়া কমেন্টছ বেয়া দিব বেলেগ দিব গহীন গম্ভীৰ দিছে কিবা কিবি
Hi guys, my name is Adid and this is Kasturi and welcome to Enchanted Studios. আজি এটা নতুন podcast episode আমি লৈ আনিছো আপোনালোকৰ কাৰণে with a very special guest, with 3 special guests. Firstly, I would like to introduce Nizom. Hi Nizom, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me once again. Very much.
And then we have Angie.
Hi.
Angie Gugoi.
Yeah.
And then we have Yash.
Yeah.
Yash, brother from another mother.
It's been a pleasure knowing you, man.
Same here, bro. So, it's suddenly introduction to korar pisot jen sob bahut conscious hoy goise ki hobo ki nohobo. So, guys, thank you so much for joining in this podcast. Aru আজি বহুত বেলেগ ধৰণৰ টপিকছৰ বিষয়ে কথা পাতিম because we all come from different backgrounds. Funny case actually কি মই দি দিম ইয়াতে এটা স্ক্ৰিনশ্বট হোপফুলি নিজম তুমি কৈ দিয়া নহলে নেকি
তাত তুমি এনেকে স্ক্ৰিনশ্বটটো এনেকে মেনশ্যন কৰিবা আৰু তাত আমি যে আগৰবাৰ যেটো পডকাষ্ট কৰিছিল তাৰ কোনবা এটা স্ক্ৰিনশ্বট তাত লগাই দিবা যে we have done this before
তেতিয়া গম পাম কোন হকত আছিল
কোন কিন আছিল কেনেকুৱা আছিল সেম আছে অপিনিয়নছ বু সেম আছে নে বদলিছে
কিনাই আকৌ হকত হৈ
গৈছে তেনেকুৱা
So technically একে মানে
technically back to
square one
back to hopefully editing or ক্ষেত্ৰত আকৌ back to square one হৈ নকলে হল আকৌ আগৰ podcast টো নুলাল
I hope so.
So Nizom, you are an entrepreneur, a businessman and a public speaker.
Pretty much. Very heavy words but okay. Pretty much.
And Angie, you are a product designer.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
I'm a product designer. Right now I'm placed as a product design manager at Northeast Handicraft and Handloom Development Corporation. So here we take care of the upliftment of the handicraft sector. So I also, as a demand of my profession, I have to be a social designer also, like that. And we also have to generate livelihood and we have to promote entrepreneurship like that yeah that's it.
Okay. And I have my friend Yash.
Pleasure meeting, man.
Yash is from Boston. আৰু হি মানে এনেকা সময় সময় নাপায় আহিবলৈ হি আমেৰিকা পৰা আহিছে ডাইৰেক্ট পডকাষ্টৰ কাৰণে আহিছে Yash. And you know Yash, it's very interesting that we plan to do this since a long time আৰু আজি হৈও গ'ল একেলগে So, I want to ask you a lot of questions also, which will be really interesting.
Okay.
A friend from, who grew up here and then, you are staying in the States now. How is life different and stuff like that? We will come back to that.
Okay.
But before that, Nizom, tell our audience about what you do.
I do so many things. I was doing so many things, and now I'm trying to do a little less things than what I was doing before. So of course I do have a bar which is Bronco. Then I recently initiated a new place in Sonapur which is Backyard Teaks. Now how the place are different, in one place I serve alcohol and the other place I serve bhat dali. So both the places are very different, poles apart. So that's very fresh এটা নতুন ইনিচিয়েটিভ সেইটো কৰিছোঁ because কিয় thankfully সেই জায়গাটো আমি পাইছোঁ recently the land belongs to a friend of ours, so two of our friends আমি দুটা ক'লো যে okay, you know what, we might as well want to start something here. And what really works in the highway, we've done a little research and I'll figure out that bhat dali thali is actually something that works well. That is also there, which is more like a BYOB kind of a thing, which you can
it's a
carry.
BYOB?
Yeah, it's a BYOB. You can carry your own thing, yeah.
Okay.
But then I charge or not depends on how much I know you. So yeah.
Okay. So,
Powerful girl.
মানে যিমান পুৰণা সিমান free ন?
লগৰ হ'লে আৰু নলওঁ আৰু লগৰ নহ'লে আৰু কিবা এটা ল'ব লাগে আৰু সৰুকে because পাপি পেট কা সৱাল है ना क्या करे.
and do you need to have a তোমাক সেইটো কাৰণে বেলেগ ধৰণৰ লাইসেন্স লাগে নেকি?
Yeah, see, there are certain licenses that you need. Of course, you need a trade license and FSSC. I know.
Yeah, that
these
is
guys,
the
so-
normal stuff.
Yeah,
But for
but
liquor to be
for liquor to be served, honestly, it doesn't come under that specific GMC herit nahe Honapur at the moment. So hetu karne there are certain norms you can work your way around it, and honestly, it's very on and off. It is not on all the time, kind of like a thing. So of course there is a liquor license thing that you need so many times, but here we don't do a lot of because unlike Bronco where we have an official liquor license, it's in the GMC sector. That mane ami okoman we try to work our way around it. Pure management, if I have to say in simple terms, pure management kind of a stuff. So yeah, and third thing.
কিবা এটা শুনিলো মই ঘড়ী সাউন্ড yeah
Okay. Third thing is, of course, you know that my speaking skills has been a passion, and very recently I'll be getting on to my passion project. সেইটো কথা এতিয়া নকওঁ কাৰণ এতিয়ালৈকে আহা নাই কিয়
just teaser এটা দি থৈ দিলে
সেইটো কথা আহা নাই কিয় মানে
ৰিলেটেড টু কি খোৱা লোৱা নে কিবা
নহয় it's my speaking, my training
Always
initiative.
speaking বুলি
না শুনাই নাই তাই অফিচৰ পৰা তাই অফিচতে আছে তাই মাথা তাতে আছে আমি মানে ফুচকাৰ কথা পাতিছিলো তাই মানে ভাবিছে আমি ফুচকাৰ কথাটো পাতিছো বুলি so সেইটো মানে it's still it's a very dormant at the moment, but সেইটো মানে মই যেটো মোৰ যেটো passion না সেইটো মই আমাৰ large scale কৰিম মানে that is something that I was always wanted to do. So সেইটো মানে অকমান if the government supports lately, then something with skill development, but at the moment couple of my people we're going to reinitiate with education institutes, which we will we will take it ahead from 2 months from now. So yeah, these are the three things on my plate as of yet.
how do you manage so much মানে you have Bronco which is a pub, and then you have this Backyard Teaks which is like a
Dhaba. I promote
right?
dhaba, pure dhaba.
Yeah. So Bronco, dhaba, and I see you're a very active person. ঠিক আছে
I'll take that.
and you
He takes that as a compliment.
Yeah, I'll take that.
হাহাটো মই বুজি নাপালো মানে
না মই মানে ক'লো যে তাই মানে কৈছে oh চলো
তাই একদম বেকা হাঁহি এটা মাৰি
like
সেইকাৰণে মানে বুজি নাপালো
very modest মানে জানে আৰু
so সেইটোৱে মই সুধিব বিচাৰিছো মানে Bronco plus Backyard Teaks plus public speaking. I have seen you going to different places and বেলেগ workshops কৰা তুমি seminar কিবা কিবি কৰা নহয় জানো
seminars.
তো ইমানখিনি হাই এনাৰ্জি কেনেকৈ তুমি মেইনটেইন কৰা মানে
I নাজানো মানে মই অকমান এক্টিভ থাকিবলৈ ভাল পাওঁ I have no other মানে this is very contradictory, again one of the most controversial things which I hate, but মই ক'ব লাগিব কাৰণ মই এইটো সদায় কওঁ মই মানে সেই আমি যেনেকৈ আমাক সৰুতে যেনেকৈ দুপৰীয়া মাহঁতে মাৰি পেলাই শুৱাই যে দুপৰীয়া শুবই লাগিব, which is okay, I like it, কিবা এটা থাকিব, but মানে thankfully বাহিৰত যোৱাৰ পাছত you don't have the liberty of so many things. Life works in different ways in different places. I'm pretty sure Yash can also tell us how things work in US, how different things are. So I have been to a very fast-paced life.
সৰু পাই
নহয় পুনেৰ পৰা সৰুৰ পৰা নহয় সৰুৰ পৰাতো সেই একেই স্কুল নৰ্মেল ক্ৰিকেট ধূলি বালি টিউশ্যনছ মাৰ খোৱা এই চেম ষ্টাফ তাৰপাছত then I got into Pune I studied in a college I took part in so many initiatives কাৰণ মানে this is something we spoke about last time also মানে মোৰ just মনত পৰি গ'ল so the college will give you a platform either how to expedite it is completely upon you মানে just because তুমি fees to dila এখন MBA college that will not ensure you get a fucking job that's not their work is to mold you in certain way that you are prepared for the market that's a notion so back in college days I was very active phale president club events and I did not know that I wanted to do a like to do enokwa nohoy bole bele horu pa mon asile I don't know I just got into it and I got into it and I liked it and eventually I figured out that I kind of like to work মই ঘৰত মই কাম কৰি ভাল পাওঁ মানে মই বহি থাকিব নোৱাৰোঁ মই সেইদিনাখনে বহুত যিদিনাখন I choose to be in my house and today যেনেকৈ মোৰ if I have to give you my guilty pleasure মই এদিন কাম কৰি পেলাই ঘৰত আহি মই 10 পেকেট চিপছ খাম আৰু মই মুভি চাম that's how my close friends know it মানে মই ৰাতি আহি পেলাই সেইটো কৰোঁ মানে because my line of work makes me meet so many people I start hating people after 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. মানে দিনটো ইমান মানুহ লগ পাই যাওঁ চ' সেইটো হয় মানে মই যেতিয়া মানে মাহঁতক মই কওঁ যে ইনিচিয়েলি মানে বিকজ 10 years out of the house so my mom was not able to figure out what her son has transformed into now যেতিয়া মই ৰাতি যেতিয়া মই দেৰিলৈকে কাৰণ মই US shift কৰা মানুহ চ' মই জল্দি নুশু so back in my corporate job
মানে তুমি নাইট শিফট বেছি
yeah so when I was working so I worked in a corporate for 4.5 years so mostly my UK and US shift moi korisu so when I was doing that back in the day so my usual work starts at 6 p.m. in the evening when people go back home and then I work till 3 a.m.
মানে so basically কি হয় কি যেতিয়া এনেকা ধৰণৰ ইন্টাৰনেশ্যনেল কোম্পানীত কাম কৰা যায় বহুতে জানে যোনে কৰিছে কাম বহুতে নেজানে টাইমিংটো বহুত বেলেগ হয় যদিও আপোনালোকে অসমতে কাম কৰি আছে বা দিল্লীত কাম কৰি আছে US এৰ ৰাতিপুৱাৰ টাইমৰ মতে যোনটো ইয়াত ৰাতি হয় হেমতে কাম কৰিবলগীয়া হয় isn't it
yeah so I'll give you a better picture how it works মানে initially মই যেতিয়া placement পাই পেলাই মই job পাইছিলো তেতিয়া first company to Assamese markets বুলি again US based Boston based company I think so I might as well be mistaken so মোক পেহিয়ে মানে এদিন ৰাতিপুৱা মোক ফোন কৰি পেলাই কৈছে তই কি অফিচৰ শাটাৰখন ডাউন কৰি আহিছ নেকি মানে অফিসটা বন্ধ কৰি আছে নেকি কাৰণ মই ৰাতিপুৱা 4টা বজাত আহিছো ঘৰলৈ
আচ্ছা
so of course that's a regular time but ইয়াততো মাহঁতে নাজানে প্ৰথমতে মানে ৰাতি কি অফিচৰ পৰা মানে জানে US shift কৰোঁ বুলি but they are like is it necessary তো এটা ৰেগুলাৰ কাম কৰিব নোৱাৰে নে অকমান যেন পোহৰ পৰা of course তেওঁলোকে এটা হেৰি পাৰ্সপেক্টিভত কৈছে কাৰণ সেই বস্তুটো বেলেগ হয় so সেইটো হেইট মানে সেইটো কোৱা যায় so if you work in New Zealand, Japan, Australia, then you have to start working from around 3 a.m., 4 a.m. because Japan has the first sunrise. So then
land of rising sun বুলি কয়
yeah eventually if you work in the EMEA market which is the Gulf and all which is I think 2.5 hours difference হয় আমাৰ লগত then if you work in the European UK market then 5 to 6 hours are difference হয় then US and Canada has 4 zones there's PST CST EST MST I guess
it's because their countries
it's
are
a
very
huge
big
landmass
Yes, a huge mass. They have 4 different.
the 4 different time zones
so it's basically something like let's say India was a very big country for example তো মানে US ইমান ডাঙৰ কান্ট্ৰি যে মানে লেটস সে অসমত যদি ৰাতি হৈ আছে দিল্লীত হয়তো ৰাতিপুৱা হৈ আছে
ৰাতিপুৱা নহয়
Not exactly.
okay
Okay, I think Nizom.
I think it's a 1 hour difference if I'm
The
correct
thing is, like,
he can
let's take an
say that.
example of like Boston, and let's take an example of San Francisco. They're two
yeah,
very
east and west
East and
right
East and
Bay
West,
Area
yes.
yeah
Now the time difference between both of them is like 4 hours.
okay
yeah
So if it's like suppose let's take an example of stock market. New York stock market opens at around let's take it at 9 o'clock. So it's going to be around 5:30, like 4 hours of like 5 o'clock, like in the morning in San Francisco.
yeah
So it becomes very difficult for the people to you manage time accordingly because in the east side people are already awake like 4 hours ahead. They're taking decisions.
Yeah.
Their life has been like started.
Yeah.
They're progressing 4 hours ahead of you. So it becomes very difficult about it. So let's take in. I'll add one more thing to that. If you see in India, India itself is a very big country. Big
yes,
country.
yes.
If you see the time zone in India, in East, in Assam, let's say if the sunsets happens around 5:30, same thing, sunset will happen towards the Delhi side or Gujarat side around 6:30.
7:30.
Around
Yeah.
7, I would
Seven.
Sometimes
Seven.
even
7:30.
7, but then
7:30,
even
yeah,
7.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then India doesn't take into consideration about the time zone.
Yeah,
They just follow one. There's a 30 minutes,
Okay,
45
okay,
minutes
okay.
difference.
So technically হ'ব লাগে, but we don't follow it.
They
Yeah.
don't follow it.
কিন্তু মাজতে কথা ওলাইছিল no where
হয়নি?
people were saying that India deserves like a different
Different time zone. Yeah. 30 minutes,
deserve
like 30 or
different
40
Yeah,
minutes around.
it's a very different. So on an,
1 ঘন্টা তো
no,
হবে
no, it's more than 1 hour.
More
But it's
than-
around
It's more than 1 hour. Now, and I'll give you an example. So when I first went to take admission in Pune, which is in the extreme side of India, so আমি যেতিয়া দুপৰীয়া শুই পেলাই উঠো, so me and my dad, we took a nap and we woke up and we say, oh, it's still bright outside, let's go back to sleep. But then we figured out it was 7 p.m.
হা হা হা
তো পাপাই কৈছে 7টা বোলো কি 7টা বাজিলে. That's the first day I realized how extreme it is.
Yeah.
It is sunrise
Same
and
thing
sunset.
with
Yeah.
me in Delhi. First যেতিয়া Delhi shift কৰিছো,
Yeah.
খোজকাঢ়ি আছো হা, আৰু মানে লাগিছে কি 5টামান গধূলি 5টামান বাইছে, লাঞ্চ চাঞ্চ খালো, you know, like that. I swear this is a true story. হা, এনেকা চাইছো, legit মই ভাবিছো মোৰ ঘড়ী বেয়া হৈছে.
Yeah.
It was 7 আৰু full broad daylight.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, 7 p.m.
Actually,
broad daylight. Yes,
broad daylight.
broad
At least
daylight.
summers of-
Broad daylight.
দিল্লীটো
yeah.
তেতিয়াও ঠিক আছে তুমি যদি বেংগলোৰ চোৱা
Ah,
তাত
Bangalore, Pune.
সাতটাততো ছানৰাইজ হয় তাত
7টাত আমি শুই উঠি পেলাই চাহ খাবলৈ যাওঁ.
ছানৰাইজ হৈছে মানে
Yeah,
এনেকুৱাও
yeah,
নহয়।
in the morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
মানে
It's
বহুত
very
দেৰিকে
extreme.
হয়।
Yeah, yeah.
বহুত দেৰি ইয়াত 4টাত হৈছে
বহুত
তাত
দেৰি।
তাত 7টাত হৈছে
Yeah, yeah.
ষ্টাৰ্ট মানে
মাজতে তুমি যদি কৈছিলা সেইটো কথাটো হৈ আছিলে, মই পঢ়িছিলো, but then I think even
মানে we follow just the Indian standard time.
IST.
zone
Right,
এটা
right.
যে।
IST.
Okay,
But
okay.
sometimes it also tends to be Indian stretchable time.
Yeah,
People tend to take their own sweet time.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, pretty
That
much.
is true, that is true.
আমাৰ অসমীয়া মানুহে জানিব ন লাহে লাহে
লাহে লাহে।
Oh, মই actually সেইটোতে আহি আছিলো the whole thing.
You put yourself.
মই সেইটোতে আহি আছিলো actually.
Yes, yes. I think আমি এই কথাটো last time পাতিছিলো।
পাতিছিলো সেইটোৱে কৈছো, মই সেই এক্টিভ থকাটো আহিলে, মই এইটো একচুৱেলি ক'বলৈ নিবিচাৰিছিলো, but thank you for putting it up যিটো ক'লে মানে
Yeah, did you chop this
I
part?
This part will get me views.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I hate it.
Yeah.
There's no better way to say it. I hate it. I don't like to work like that. That is not. I
সেইটোতো
don't.
হয়
I
আমাৰ
don't.
কিমান প্ৰব্লেম হয়
মই একদম বেয়া পাওঁ মানে the entire culture, the entire output hampers, চব hamper হয় আৰু মানে কিয় হয় জানা, and it's a very mindset হেৰি হয়, when you start your own initiative না কালি না, you have to be upon your toes 24/7. You have no choice. তাত কোনো exceptions নাই কিয়া. But then the moment when you have a job, যিটো মই জবো কৰিছো, মই বিজনেছো কৰিছো, I have a call to make. Then you know, মই log out কৰিলে মানে মই log out কৰিলো, I will not pick up anyone's phone from my office after that. I have a choice. In business I don't have a choice because that is like your baby, you have to take care of it. মানে so এই activeness to কিয় আহিলে জানা, because I think the life I've got into or I've chosen to got into eventually demands it from me, and I don't have the liberty. So মোৰ Abhilash বুলি খুব ভাল ব্লগাৰ এটা আছে, so Abhilash মানে he's also an entrepreneur, he poet হয়, so সি আৰু মই এবাৰ কথা পাতে, সি কৈছে, মই Abhilash যদি এটা চাই আছা মোক কাৰেক্ট কৰিবা যদি মই ভুলকৈ কৈছোঁ মানে উৰ্দুলৈ, so সি লিখিছে हमें फुर्सत की सहूलियत नहीं है মানে কি মিনিং মানে আমাৰ তাত মানে সেই ৰেষ্ট লোৱাৰ লিবাৰ্টিটো নাইকিয়া, ইউ ডোণ্ট হেভ দ্য লিবাৰ্টি টু, কিয়নো ইনিচিয়েলি ইট টেক্স এ লট, ইমান কাম ইমান, তাৰপিছত আৰু বাকীবোৰ আছে, ইয়ৰ পাৰ্চনেল লাইফ ইজ দেয়াৰ, ইয়ৰ ফেমিলি ইজ দেয়াৰ, ইয়ৰ ফ্ৰেণ্ডছ ইজ দেয়াৰ, চ' ইট টেক্স এ লট ফ্ৰম ইউ, ইউ হেভ ন' চইচ। ফোন আজি যেনেকৈ আহিছোঁ, মই যে কৈছোঁ যে মই নগাঁৱৰ পৰা আহিছোঁ, আহি পেলাই মই সেই এতিয়া এইবাৰ ঈদ আৰু বিহু দুদিন আগপাছকৈ পৰিছে, চ' বেচিকেলি নাও আই হেভ টু পে' মাই পিপল, কালিয়ে মই দিব লাগিব পইচা, এতিয়া সেইখিনি হিচাপ কৰি পেলাই আহিছোঁ, তাৰপিছত বাট দেন আই হেভ গিভেন ইউ টাইম 6 আহিব লাগিব, আই হেভ টু গ' হোম। এইমাত্ৰ মোক মামাই ফোন কৰিছে, কৈছে মই ৰাতিপুৱা আহিম কালি, ঠিক আছে আই উইল অপেন দ্য ড'ৰ এট 6।
এই কথাখিনি আমি যে পাতিলো এইটো টপিকৰ ওপৰত লাহে লাহে বা টাইমত মানুহে কাম নকৰে, ইট ৰিমাইণ্ডেড মি অফ সামথিং ভেৰি ইণ্টাৰেষ্টিং উইচ you told me about when we did a New Year party this time at my place, and I want to get your perspective also. তাৰমানে basically যেতিয়া নিউ ইয়ৰত আমি পাৰ্টি কৰিছিলোঁ ন, এণ্ড ফৰ অল দি আদাৰ পিপল কনচাৰ্ণ, মানে কি হৈছিল কি আই থিংক 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock টাইম থোৱা আছিলে, এণ্ড দেন উই ডিড নট ষ্টাৰ্ট, এণ্ড দেন হি ট'ল্ড মি ইন এ ভেৰি ভাল কথা কৈছে মোক, হা, ইয়াত এইটো বস্তু মানুহে লাইকলি লয়,
It's not accepted.
বাট বাহিৰত মানে যদি তই কাৰোবাক 6 o'clockত ইনভাইট কৰিছ,
Yeah.
তেতিয়া 6 o'clockত বস্তুটো মানুহে এক্সপেক্ট কৰে ষ্টাৰ্ট হোৱাটো, প্ৰগ্ৰেমটো.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about that? বাহিৰত, by বাহিৰত I mean in the US where you stay, তাত সময় লৈ কাম লৈ ডিসিপ্লিনটো কেনেকুৱা পাইছা আৰু ইয়াত কেনেকুৱা হয় মানে? Can you tell
See,
me
the thing is, over there, now, what I've personally experienced is that people focus more on personal lifestyle more. They tend to focus on more lifestyle in the sense like they want to go out for fishing, cycling, trekking,
Correct.
spend time with family. But in India, it's like very work oriented. Your life is only your work, and they tend to feel like there's nothing more to it. I understand there are a lot of organizations who tend to like they balance it out, but like he said, like majority of the places like in India, like he felt like he's not getting his own personal time, right Nizom? That's what you
You're correct in that. This is something that and this is what you're
Yeah.
saying is true. It's absolutely true. Like
Yeah.
my friends back in US or
Yeah.
who have been in US for a very long time, they have molded themselves with a lifestyle because that's how the environment is, by the way. So the same, this is people use the same example of this considering the Japanese culture as well.
Yeah.
So both Indians and Japanese, they work a lot.
I work a lot. Yeah.
We work a lot, and I think it is not just one thing. It is a very there are very it's like a holistic perspective. What I mean to say is too many factors are considered
Yeah.
why people are working
Right.
here a lot. Because I think I'll take my example. I think because I think so many things: disposable income, the economy, GDP, inflation, working, where you work, for how many,
Which
so
industry
many,
you're
which
working,
industry
lot
you
of things
work.
in taking
There is a
consideration.
concept in US or any other place. You are paid in hourly basis.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that in India.
Yeah.
No one's paid on hourly basis. They are, let's say, I'm also a voiceover artist. So when I'm a voiceover artist, what it does is they are paying me based on the time that like the time of the voiceover, but not the time I have invested to make that voiceover. I mean they can relate to it. It takes a lot to make for a lot of projects. Even for a 1-minute clip, if you have to do dubbing, if you have to do lip syncing, if you have to do a certain mimicking, it takes a lot. So in that kind of a culture, they would actually pay you for the input and for that thing. But I think we are a very result driven economy.
Yep.
All the economies are pretty much result driven, because if the results are not there, then nothing is out there. But I think what we still don't have, again, the West, and here things that happen in the West takes at least on an average like 5 to 7 years to come to this side of the planet.
Yep.
India and Southeast Asia and all. But because of that disparity in the work culture, there is disparity in payments, there's disparity in how much money people are making with the same amount of effort and input that they put in. So many things. Let's say in YouTube, what we are doing at the moment, I think the term is CPM, right? If I'm correct.
Yes,
CPM. So I was just watching Nikhil Kamat's content creators this thing, and they have said what people pay in US is 1/10 of what they get in India.
Okay.
So if you're making $1,000 there, you'll be making for the same thing $100 here.
Yes, very
So,
true.
so a lot of things. I mean, you cannot just take one topic and say because of this is happening. No, there's like a lot. There's this culture. There's so many things happening. So based on that, yeah.
I want to interrupt হা, আৰু নেজানো ইফ মই যি ক'ব গৈ আছোঁ আকৌ গালি খাব পাৰোঁ. Are we really the hardest working people? Are you saying we work more than them? Are we really, do we really do that? Because মোৰ মতে আমাৰ every month বেলেগ বেলেগ ধৰণৰ পূজা থাকে, বিহু থাকে, ঈদ থাকে, and I don't know বাহিৰত সেই বস্তুটো আছে য'ত মানে কেলেণ্ডাৰত মানে সিহঁতৰ 5-6টা হলিডে সদায় মানে থাকে. মই ফিল কৰোঁ যে ইয়াত বহুত বেছি হলিডেজ আছে.
Yeah.
I won't agree to that completely. Because I feel how should I put this? Even the West has their own holiday
Yes.
dates.
Yes.
So do we, and
Yes.
it's a part of our culture.
Yes.
But as you said, I wouldn't agree with saying that we are the most hardest person, but we are the most ambitious for sure.
No. Are you okay? You will know this better. I don't know personally. মই কেতিয়াও ইউএছত যোৱাও নাই, কেতিয়াও মই কামো কৰা নাই তাত, but you have been working for a company there,
Yeah.
right? So are you telling me ki they have equal amounts of, and be honest, okay,
Okay.
completely, don't be biased, huh?
Sure.
Yeah, are you saying there are as much of religious holidays as we have? Ki
Probably more.
probably more.
Probably more.
Is it?
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
won't
aware.
believe, like, let's take an example of during my masters.
Okay.
During my masters, I had classes around 2 to 3 days a week,
Mm.
and per day the classes used to be for 2 to 3 hours. But in India, I see my friends who have done masters from top-notch colleges.
Mm.
They're like working like 12 hours every day, like minimum. They go to classes at 8, and then some of them say that we have to come back, prepare presentations for next day, prepare class assignments, and then we have our own personal, like, you know, like final assignment. And I see that life is like quite completely like pressurized in the sense like it's only academics. But in the West, I'm not. See, my main objective is not trying to say that the West is superior, the East is superior.
No. Even that is
Yeah,
not my objective.
That's not my object. My
Yes.
objective is like everyone has their own way of achieving,
Yes.
and some like for some ways might like, you know, suit someone the best, and some might not the so great.
See,
about
that
it.
is fine.
Yeah.
মই বুজিলো, and you have
True.
said it yourself now that probably তাত বেছি আছে.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah,
surprising for
yeah,
me.
Yeah.
But I'll ask you all something, যে আমি যদি ইমান বেছি কাম কৰি আছো, why are we not achieving more than the West? Why is it that তাতে সবতকে best films বনে, তাতে সবতকে best industries বোৰ আছে, তাতে সবতকে বেছি, you know, we are always lacking behind. মানে I always thought সৰুপা যে তাত চাগে Elon Musk, let's say, পাগল টাইপ কাম কৰে, সবৰে এটাই কাহিনী শুনো, পাগল টাইপ কাম কৰে, and that is a very, let's say, I'll tell you something, okay, Rockstar Games is the biggest games
Fine.
company in the whole world as we speak right now, আৰু তাত actually controversies বহুত আৰম্ভ হৈ গৈছিল, which is not just in big game companies, basically বহুত বেয়াকে কাম কৰাই বোলে.
Okay.
Crunch culture.
Yeah,
Crunch
crunch culture, yeah. So এই বস্তুটো মই প্ৰায়ে টপ US companiesৰ শুনিছো, পাগল টাইপ কাম কৰে. So my question is this, and মানে whatever you guys feel can answer, মানে যে কিয় মানে আমি কি, are we not working smart enough, নে কি হৈ আছে যে best of the best industries বোৰ আমাৰ ইয়াত কিয় নাই, মানে if we are really working more than them thrice, মানে 3 times
Yeah,
বেছি যদি আমি কাম কৰি আছো.
Now, I'll take 5 minutes and I'll say something about this. So, কি হয় না, আমি on hindsight, how we like to look at things, যে আমি যদি X amount of hours যদি এটা কামত দিছোঁ, এইটো বস্তু ওলাব লাগে. Now, X amount of, এইটোতো বহুতে কয় যে let's say someone, আমি মানে সেই physical work to hard work বুলি কওঁ. There's a huge difference.
Labor
Yeah,
intensive.
we think that there's a very labor intensive, these guys work so hard. যেনেকৈ মোক কয় মানুহে তো বহুত active. Just because মই দিনটোত 5টা জেগাত গৈছোঁ, that doesn't mean I have worked in all the 5 places. But then sometimes I might be just home and I'm working the whole
And
day.
you're getting more things done.
And I'm
from
getting
your
more
home
things
also.
done. So it's about the perspective of how you look at things. মানে এই ল'ৰাটোৱে বহুত কষ্ট কৰে, এই ছোৱালীজনীয়ে বহুত কষ্ট কৰে, কেনেকৈ কয়, যেনেকৈ বহুত মানুহে মোক কয় মোৰ ছ'চিয়েল মিডিয়াটো চাই পেলাই, ঠিকে আছে, কষ্ট কৰি আছোঁ, but not necessarily. I'm showing you only what I want to show you, first of all. There's a lot going in behind in the scenes. So আমি মানে সেই X amount of hours দিলে যে Y amount of outputটো ওলায়, আমি সেই মেথছটোত কৰোঁ. And I think hard work is there, but very personal thing, hard work is very overrated. But eventually I have figured out, if I make a good system for a business, if I have the right set of team, because I am anyways taking the entire risk, like the business owners, people who have the equity, me and my partners, we are anyways taking the biggest amount of risk. যদি মই যদি খানা বনাব লাগে, মই যদি চাৰ্ভ কৰিব লাগে, মই যদি গেটত তলা মাৰিব লাগে, মই যদি দোকান খুলিব লাগে, মই যদি একাউণ্টছ কৰিব লাগে, মই যদি মাৰ্কেটিং কৰিব লাগে, আৰে তো দেন আই শুড টেক দ্য মানি ফৰ অল অফ দিছ পিপল না. That's the maths that people don't understand. মানে
Micromanagement.
মাইক্ৰ মেনেজমেণ্ট কৰে. চ' আমি কৰিব চব পাৰোঁ, বাট কৰিব লাগে জানো? You know, that's the question.
Right.
You're not supposed to do all the work. Yeah? You're not supposed to do all the work. মই মানে বিৰাট, I
একো reward
eventually,
নাই।
একো reward নাই. Eventually, the thing that you have said, that I should not be doing everything. and no one should be doing everything is my point. মানে মই সবকে কওঁ when you are designated a certain kind of a task, you should be accountable for that task. If my business fails tomorrow, I am the one who's responsible. But then if the food that I'm serving is not tasting as it should, I have someone who is accountable for it, because then they are accountable to me, back to me as well, because then there's time involved, there's money involved, so many things are involved. So I mean, coming back to a bottom line of this, we are not system driven, we are hard work driven. আমি আমি বেছি কষ্ট কৰিলে বেছি আউটপুট পাম, never related to it. Please, everyone who's watching it, it is not related to it. And this happens when a very long time. Then they do, hey, why is ফুচকা ওলাটোৱে বা ৰিক্সা টানাটোৱে বা অটোৱালাটোৱে কিয় বেছি কাম কৰা নাই? They are working day and night. ৰাতিও কাম কৰে, দিনতো কাম কৰে. Why are they not making more money than you, who is just working for what, 6 hours, 9 hours? They should be making more money, right? If you really think that hard work is the answer, hard work is definitely there. I mean, it's the freaking foundation to it. But then you have to figure out smart ways to get things done. I am sitting here doing a podcast. Both my businesses are still running, right? What if then মই তো বেলেগ একো কৰিবই নোৱাৰিম না, মই একো কৰিব. So I think that's what you should forget that মই ইমান amount of hours দিলেহে মই ইমান amount of হেৰি হ'ব. যেনেকৈ বহুতে কয় যে focused work, and I think that actually works. মই যদি দিনটোত if I want to, so when I do research on a certain thing, মই ফোন চোন দূৰত কৰি পেলাই 1-1.5 ঘণ্টা দিওঁ, and now researching on the internet has become even more easier and accessible with ChatGPT and all in the place. And I do a focused research for an hour or so, and I'm actually done with the whole day's work. মই দিনটো কামখিনি মোৰ হৈ গ'ল. But that doesn't mean যে মই কষ্ট কৰা নাই, মই স্মাৰ্টলি বস্তুটো ইনফৰমেশ্যনটো উলিয়াই লৈছোঁ বা কামটো উলিয়াই লৈছোঁ বা ফোন কৰিছোঁ বা ছ'চিয়েল মিডিয়া ইউজ কৰিছোঁ. চ' আই এম ডুইং অল ইন এ স্মাৰ্ট ৱে. দেৰ ইজ হাৰ্ড ৱৰ্ক এণ্ড দেৰ ইজ স্মাৰ্ট ৱৰ্ক. যদি কোনোবা যদি স্মাৰ্ট হাৰ্ড ৱৰ্কতে যদি ৰিলাই কৰি আছে, আই ডু নট থিংক দ্যাটছ দ্য লং গেম. ইউ হেভ টু বি চিষ্টেম ড্ৰিভেন এণ্ড টিম ড্ৰিভেন. Kasturi, please say something. Say.
শুনা পাবিনে নে ল'ব
ল কি হয় ইমানে লো আমি কৰি
ঠিক আছে এইটো মানে শুনিছা এতিয়া হ'ব মানে তুমি এজ এ বিজনেছমেন বা তুমি নিজৰ কি প্ৰাইভেট এটা হেৰি কিবা আছে তোমাৰ মানে নিজৰ ন যোনটো বস্তু কৈছা পুৰা ফুল্লি এগ্ৰিড হা বাট আমিতো এজ এ লেবাৰ কাম কৰি আছো ন
আমি এজ এ লেবাৰ কাম কৰোঁ
নহয় মানে এজ এ
Yeah.
লেবাৰ তোমালোকে নিজৰ কেনেকে বুজাম
মই বুজি পাইছোঁ. I get the point.
মানে
Yeah, yeah.
এজ এ লেবাৰ তুমি কাম কৰিছা তুমি যদি 3 ঘণ্টা এক্সট্ৰা কাম কৰা তুমি কি ঠিক কাষ্টমাৰ হয়তো আহিব বেছিকে এণ্ড তোমাৰ সেইটো প্ৰফিট হ'ব.
Makes sense.
বাট আমাৰ এনেকুৱা এটা হয় আমি যদি অফিচ আমাৰ 5টাত চেছ হৈ যায় আমি 8টালৈকেও যদি বহি থাকোঁ আমি যে কৰিলোঁ অভাৰ টাইম একো আমাৰ তাতে ৰিৱাৰ্ড নাই. তো সেইটো বস্তু মানে তুমি কেনেকৈ ক'বা যে obviously মানে
I get the point, and again মোৰ এটা বেলেগ perspective আছে এইটোত. So many companies have this thing of overtime, which is not here, which is there.
But a lot of companies in India also
There are, but you see, again, then this is the maths again. I say to we are again way behind from a lot of metro cities in India. Guwahati as a city,
Okay.
Holistically, we still have a lot of steps to go ahead. Work, culture,
to catch
in
up.
so many things. Coming back to what you're saying, so this is the maths that I have, which I have figured out. চাকৰি কৰাৰ সময়ত মই সেইটো গম পোৱা নাছিলোঁ. Had I known it, I would have done a lot better. So this is what I imply in my business. If you're coming to my business and you have paid me 100 rupees, I want to give you something of worth 120 or 130 rupees. Okay, it might not be monetarily, it might be, for example, to me Adid ahisa for my place, you guys come to my place for the first time, I'll just throw in something as in, you know what, this is something that we have tried new, give it a try. I'll give in a plate of a dish, or I'll give you something extra, but you're not paying extra to me. And this is not just someone as a friend. I use it for a little bit of for my marketing thing as well, I'll be very honest. But I like to do it because jetya ami why are we so inclined towards discount and sales? Because we think that we are getting less, but we actually don't. It's just a marketing gimmick. But again, ami jetya kom paisa ta di beshi ka pao nohoy ami bostu tu bhal pao. Now when you are saying that I think that is something we all should do in our initial work stage.
বাট ইয়াতে মই তোমাক এটা
Yeah.
কথা কওঁ হা যেনেকৈ আমি হলিডেজৰ কথা পাতিলোঁ দন্দুৰী টাইপ লাগিছে নেকি
নাই
নহয় মানে বেছি অলপমান হেৰি
নাই
হৈছে আৰু।
this is very valid what you said.
মানে কেনেকুৱা চোৱা যেনেকৈ আমি কথা পাতিলোঁ হলিডেজ এণ্ড অল আমাৰ কেনেকুৱা হয় এটা উইক গৈছে জানুৱাৰী চাগে হোল উইক অকল এদিন অফিচ হৈছে তো এদিন অফিচৰ তুমি ভাবা মানে 5 দিন অফিচৰ আমাৰ কামবোৰ ৰখি আছিলে তো আমি সেইটো নেক্সট উইক আমি কমপ্লিট কৰিব লাগিব সেইটো উইকৰটো কাম আছে তো সেইটো বস্তু মই তোমাক সুধিছোঁ যে সেইবোৰ এতিয়া অভাৰ টাইম আমাক একো পইচা নিদিয়ে
Yeah.
বুজিছা ঠিক আছে আমি হলিডেজ যি আমি পাইছোঁ পইচা পাইছোঁ বাট আল্টিমেটলি গৈ থৈ আমি এক্সট্ৰাই কাম কৰিলোঁ ন
Extra কাম কৰিব
কৰিলোঁ
লাগিবই
মানে
Yeah.
মই তোমাক সেইটোৱে
Yeah.
ক'লো আল্টিমেটলি গৈ থৈ মানে তুমি নিজৰ বিজনেছ কৰা তুমি
Yeah,
জব
yeah,
কৰা
yeah. You have to
তুমি
put an extra.
তুমি
Yes,
ক'ৰবাত
yes,
একদম
yes,
মানে
yes.
কিবা বেলেগ তোমাৰ নিজৰ এটা প্ৰাইভেটলি তুমি একদম ডাঙৰ কিবা এটা তুমি কি কয় আৰু বিজনেছ ষ্টাৰ্ট
Yeah.
কৰিছা আল্টিমেটলি তুমি কৰিব লাগিব
Yeah.
কিন্তু এইটো ফেক্ট হয় যে তুমি যিমানেই কাম নকৰা ইন ৰিটাৰ্ণ তোমাৰ এইটো ভাবিব নোৱাৰা যে মই 5 ঘণ্টা কাম কৰিছোঁ মই 5 লাখ টকা ইনকাম কৰিম
Yeah.
I will say immediate reward নাই
নহয় ইমিডিয়েটটো নায়েই আৰু তুমি এইটোও ভাবিব নোৱাৰা যে মই 1 মাহৰ পিছত বা এবছৰৰ পিছত মই ৰিৱাৰ্ডটো পাম সেইটো মিছা কথা
I will hear her thing also huh that to you because you guys work in the
মানে
space
মই actually
so
জানিব বিচাৰো
I want to know your thing also then I'll answer to this one.
See, এইটোতো অবভিয়াছলি এমপ্লয়াৰ টু এমপ্লয়ী হিচাপে নচলে এমপ্লয়ী সদায় এমপ্লয়াৰ হিচাপে চলিব লাগিব কাম এটা কৰিবৰ কাৰণে যিটো এফৰ্ট লাগে দিবই লাগিব এতিয়া কিছুমান মানুহ শ্ল' হ'ব পাৰে কিছুমান অবভিয়াছলি মই বুজিছোঁ কিন্তু এইটো এনভাইৰনমেণ্টৰ ওপৰত ডিপেণ্ড কৰে ইউ নিড এ নাইচ মেনেজমেণ্ট ছিষ্টেম য'ত তোমাক সেইটো হিচাপে ট্ৰিট কৰিব তোমাক যদি থৈছে এক্সপ্লইট কৰিবলৈ দেন সেইটো দেৰ ইজ ন' হেল্প ডেটছ কামিং বাট যদি তোমাৰ স্কিলছ আছে সেইটো ইউটিলাইজ কৰিবলৈ কোনোবাই থৈছে তোমাক দেন তাত কিবা এটা বেলেঞ্চ হোৱা স্ক'প আছে হোপ আছে বাট মষ্ট জবছ সিহঁতি সেই কেনেকৈ গেট মষ্ট আউট অফ দিছ পাৰ্চন এণ্ড দেন উইল ৰিপ্লেচ দিছ পাৰ্চন ভেৰি চুন সেইটো মাইণ্ডছেটটো অলৰেডি লয় হায়াৰ কৰা সময়ত তেতিয়াহ'লে তুমি কি এক্সপেক্ট কৰি আছা যে তোমাৰ প্ৰব্লেম বুজিব তোমাৰ হেৰি সিহঁতৰ ইণ্টেনশ্যনটোৱে সেইটো because when you get fresh people and then heti all of time korile goal so you don't need to like increase their salaries you don't have to give them any increment and then when you are done they are ready with a fresh person again so there is a loop
so this is when what you've said so I have a team of 8 people in backyard I have a team of 16 people so there are almost like 20 to 25 people families that I'm running so I'm really responsible that they get food in their plates okay now here's a difference I like to put it as again what everyone has said is true I like to differentiate on the word that you said exploit and expedite so I definitely want to expedite the most amount of work and effort from the person that I'm paying I will
in simple terms what is expedite
so মই তোমাৰ পৰা কিমান এক্সট্ৰেক্ট কৰিবলৈ পাৰিছোঁ so basically more or less both চুচিব পাৰিছোঁ but চুচিব is exploit again যিটো মানে এটা so it's like a difference between smell and odor smell is taken in a good sense odor is taken in a bad sense but both that aroma বুলি ক'লে আৰু ভাল হৈ যায় but these are in the same family বুজি পাইছা so this is how you differentiate so exploit is said in the negative connotation so again from the business perspective someone who's running the show will always look at কেনেকৈ মই 10 টকা এটা খৰচ কৰি পেলাই 20 টকা এটা earn কৰোঁ বা 30 টকা এটা earn কৰোঁ বা 40 টকা whatever it is pure business sense again nothing wrong in it but the point when he or she does that for a longer duration what happens is then people start knowing that oh you know what this company does this that's a pattern তই যদি কালি যদি এইটো কোম্পানীত জইন কৰ তো ছমাহৰ পাছত তই এৰি দিবি কাৰণ তোক ছমাহ চুচিব তোক পইচা দিব তাৰপাছত তোৰ এনেকুৱা বেয়া লাগিব তই ওলাই যাবি which happens with so many companies যেনেকৈ আমি যেতিয়া
you also have to see na manuhar juneo tumar employer চলাই you also have to have understanding he field of work For example, মই ডিজাইনাৰ হয়, মোৰ বছ ডিজাইনাৰ নহ'ব পাৰে, but still সেই অলপ হ'লেও আণ্ডাৰষ্টেণ্ডিংটো লাগিব, because you know designers need free time to think, free night to creative, সেইটো হ'ব লাগিব. তুমি সেই just because you want to take out the most out of the designer, তুমি তাক frustrate কৰিব নোৱাৰো, then this person cannot make good things. So কাৰ কিন্তু ফিল্ডত কোনখিনি বস্তু লাগে that the employer has to understand.
Yes, they have to understand.
যদি হেতু কৰিব নোৱাৰে, then you are just going to ruin your work.
Yes, because I don't know how to cook, I have cooks. Because I don't know how to do service, I have people to do service. But my entire role which I have figured out is I have to make sure that the system that I have built is improvised over time, and people who fall in the system, because we have to take, and this is how I take, because I have less money in my kitty, I have to make sure that whatever I have, I am running a very small organization at the moment, so whatever I have to make the most out of it, because at the end of the day my livelihood depends upon it. So when I do this maths, just like I said, I came to the podcast by making sure that because there is Eid and Bihu, I have to make sure I have to pay my people on time. So you have to understand that what are their expectation and motivation levels. I think as an employer, this is what I want to understand. So what does this person want? Sometimes I have people, and I have had this incident. There was one fine day, there was this guy at the door at Honapur. He said, "Dara khana khwabo neki, mo apnalokor bason khini thoi di."
Acha.
So that was his expectations level. Ki muk paisa nalage, muk give me one time meal. So then you have to understand that then moi bohutok hudu, someone who has a family, I try to not take someone who has a lot of people in his family, because sometimes it might happen that I might not be able to pay on time, and when I do that, it becomes a little difficult at their end, and they have to understand it.
Current resources হিচাপে তো তুমি
so সেই resource to হিচাপে হেৰি কৰিব লাগিব, আৰু an employer also has to understand, মই যেতিয়া মোৰ কুকটোক কওঁ মই ডিছবোৰ বৰ হৈ গৈছে, কিবা এটা বনাই দে নতুনকৈ, সেই মুহূৰ্তত বনাই দিব নোৱাৰে, সি মোক ক'ব দাদা মোক 3 দিন সময় দিয়ক, মই কেইটামান R&D হিট এণ্ড ট্ৰায়েল কৰি পেলাই মই আপোনাক বনাই দিম, বাট মই যদি তাৰ মাথাৰ ওপৰত বহি পেলাই যদি কওঁ মোক আজি লাগে, but then he'll ruin it. He will just work to make the employer happy, and he'll make a shit dish, and then I have to serve it to people which will not give me a good feedback, then I have to
pressure delay যে কামটো হৈ যাব হেনকা,
but pressure is also important.
Yes.
It is important.
I will not disagree to it.
No, হেতু হয়, but
I make মানে জানিব লাগিব যে কিমান, মানে because I make sure I sit on people's head. মানে মোৰ মুখখন বেয়া হৈ গৈছে,
হেতু তো হবই,
মানে
when you're the boss তো হবই লাগিব.
But you
as
cannot,
human beings, I feel we work and perform better with an amount of pressure, মানে একো প্ৰেছাৰ নাথাকিলে দেখোন আমাৰ মানে একো ড্ৰাইভিং ফোৰ্স এটা নাথাকে ন বস্তু,
so many times
over to bear anything.
see now over pressure is also a very subjective matter. It depends on how much you can take and how much he or she can give. বুজি পাইছা? so মই আগতে ইমান কাম কৰিব পৰা নাছিলো, very recently since 1-2 years I can really supersede my own expectations because it is the demand of it. So many times I have figured out when you like doing it, you don't mind doing it. So many times. But then sometimes you end up doing something that you don't like because you know you have to pay your bills and EMI. Again, there's nothing wrong in it. But then you have to understand how much you can take and how much the work deserves. Mane, if you know, tomak jodi kali jodi kunbai content eta likhibole lise, if you're smart enough, you can just go to ChatGPT and type something and it's going to show up. But then মই এইটো কোৱা নাই যে মানুহে এইটো কৰিব লাগে, মই ক্ৰিয়েটিভিটিটো হেম্পাৰ কৰিবলৈ কোৱা নাই, বাট ডিমাণ্ড যে কাষ্টমাৰক ক্লায়েণ্টক যদি লাগে, দিছ পোষ্ট হেজ টু গ' এট দিছ পইণ্ট অফ টাইম, ইউৰ এমপ্লয়ী ইজ টেলিং ইউ ভাই কুছ তো লিখকে দে, তুমি যদি তেতিয়া যদি সেইটো, ইফ ইউ ডু নট হেভ দেট মাইণ্ড স্পেচ, ইউ মাইট এজ ৱেল ডু চাম স্মাৰ্ট ৱৰ্ক এণ্ড গেট দ্য জব ডান. বুজি পাইছা? চ' দেৰ চ' মেনি, আই থিংক ইণ্ডিয়া ইজ এ যোগাৰ কোম্পানী, কাণ্ট্ৰি কোম্পানী ৱাট এভাৰ, মানে মই যোগাৰতে মই আই হেভ ডান চ' মাছ, মানে
নিজৰ হয়.
তোমাৰ বিজনেছটো বা ইণ্ডিয়াটো যোগাৰ, চব যোগাৰ হা, কিন্তু কথাটো হ'ল মই তোমাক যেনেকে ক'লো 1 week আমি বহি গ'লো, তো আল্টিমেটলি সেই 1 weekৰ যোগাৰটো আমি কৰিব লাগিব ন. তো নেক্সট আমাৰ যেতিয়া 5টা বজাত মানে ছুটি হয় বা আমি যেতিয়া ফিল্ডত দুদিনৰ মূৰত এদিন যাব লাগে আমি পুৰা উইক আমি
Pura
feel
week
কৰিছো।
bahar jabo
তো
lage.
আল্টিমেটলি যোগাৰে হ'ল ন
Again, coming to the result driven economy, we are again expecting, because we have put so much of work in this time, we want something.
বাট
But then,
এক্সট্ৰাটো কেতিয়াও নাহে
but I think money is the কেতিয়াও নাহে আৰু কেতিয়াও নাহেও
তুমি জানা তুমি
নাহেও।
সঁচা কথা কৈছো মই টাইম দিওঁ মোৰ এনাৰ্জি দিওঁ মোৰ নিজৰ মানে কি যোনটো টাইমত চাগে মই ক'ৰবাত মুভি এখন চাব যাব লাগে মই বহি পেলাই অফিচত চাই থাকো যে কেনেকুৱা কি কালি কি আকৌ মানে আজিৰ কামখিনি মই যাতে কালিলে নথওঁ মই ইভেন যি নহওক আৰু তো আল্টিমেটলি পইচাটোতো নাহে পইচাটো কোনো দিনাখন বোলে বাইদেউ এক্সট্ৰা আজি কৰিছে আপোনাক এইটো এক্সট্ৰা সেইটোতো মিছা কথা সেইটো মই এক্সপেক্টেশ্যনছো নাই বাৰু সেইটো হা মানুহৰ থাকিবও নালাগে সেইটো চবকে কৈছো আৰু কিন্তু মানে সেইটোৱে আল্টিমেটলি গৈ থৈ সেই যোগাৰতে আমি মানে ফুল ষ্টপ
তুমি কামটো
কিবা এটা কথা কিবা
মই কৈছো তুমি কামটো কৰি ভাল পোৱা নাই
জব ছেটিছফেকশ্যন ক'তো নাই
Not
কৰিব
necessarily.
লাগিব EMI আছে
not necessarily
হা
not
ওলাই গ'লে
necessarily
তুমি আজিকালি এটা ভাল ক'ৰবাত ফাইন ডাইন যোৱা খাবলৈ তোমাৰ পইচা লাগিব হয় নাই কোৱা আল্টিমেটলি নট নেচেচাৰী তোমাক কোনে চাব মই বোলে যদি আম্বানীৰ জীয়েক হ'লো হয় মই বহি থাকিলো হয় বাদ দিয়া মানে একো কৰিব নালাগে
That's true. But you have to work for
সেইটোৱে ক'লো না চোৱা
ওই পাপি পেট কা সৱাল है ना
তই মানে একদম আনহেপি 9 to 5 কৰি আছ মানে
একদম গম পাইছো যে তুমি চাকৰি কৰি ডাইৰেক্টলি পডকাষ্ট কৰিবলৈ আহিছো আজি
নহয় নহয় মই মানে কিয় কৈছো চোৱা আল্টিমেটলি তুমি যোনটো ক'লা সেইটোৱে হয় হা ফেক্ট এইটো যে কাম যদি নকৰো একো নচলিব তোমাক কিমান দিন চলাব ঠিক আছে মোৰ পেৰেণ্টছে মোক চলাব আৰু যদি লাষ্ট বোলে বিয়া এটা পাতি লওঁ আৰু ডুবাইৱালা কিচিছে ফুটি দিলো তাৰপিছত ডুবাই হাবিবি
কামটো ডুবাই নেকি
হা তো সেইটো এইবোৰ নিদিবি দেই
এইটো যাবই লাগিব
আৰু এবাৰ
হা তো সেইটো বস্তুটো আল্টিমেটলি তুমিও কথাটো কৈছা যে কেতিয়াও মানে এইটো হেৰি নহ'ব আৰু
মই এটা কথা ইয়াত এড কৰো হা ভালছে শুনিবা কথাটো মই ফিল কৰো যে অন কৰি থৈতো অফ কেলে কৰি দিও
ভাল ফিল কৰা
মই এইটো ফিল কৰো যে এটা কোম্পানী আছে এই এমপ্লয়িটো জনী বা হোৱাট এভাৰ কাম যেতিয়া কৰি ফিল কৰে যে একো ৰিৱাৰ্ড পোৱা নাই একচুৱেলি সেই এমপ্লয়িটো বুজি নাপায় যে তাতকৈ ট্ৰিপল ছেক্ৰিফাইচ সেই মেইন মানুহজন যোনে ক্ৰিয়েট কৰিছে কোম্পানীটো সেই মানুহজনে বেছি কৰি থাকে ঠিক আছে আৰু আই ফিল যে
দিস ইজ আ জব বিজনেস পডকাষ্ট হৈ গৈছে
ৰিৱাৰ্ডটো মানে কি একচুৱেলি মানে ৰিৱাৰ্ডটো এই যে এক্সট্ৰা কামটো এমপ্লয়িটো কৰিব দি আছে সেইটো ছাপ'জ কৰিলে এক্সট্ৰা কাম ইন ৰিটাৰ্ণ কি হ'ল কোম্পানীটোৰ গ্ৰ'থ হ'ল ৰাইট
holistic approach
য়েছ এণ্ড তাৰপিছত সেই গ্ৰ'থ হোৱাৰ কাৰণে আৰু বেছি পে' কৰিব পাৰিলে নেক্সট ইয়েৰৰ পৰা চ' ইটছ এ চিষ্টেমেটিক প্ৰচেছ মানে চ' এই বস্তুটো মানে ডাইৰেক্ট ৰিৱাৰ্ডৰ কথাটো আই ফিল যে বহুত এমপ্লয়ি মানে মিছ আণ্ডাৰষ্টেণ্ডো কৰে বহুত
But you are saying a very ideal thing. That doesn't happen. Huh? Like I really, I agree to what she's saying because it's not always like that. I love my job, I would say, and there's a lot of emotional aspect that I have for my people. That is why I'm here. So, but tumar karone ma kom. তুমি maybe take a break and you need to reflect because তোমাৰ as a employee হয় তোমাৰ take away হ'বই লাগিব তুমি এটা job যদি কৰিছা so what is it and if it's less than what it's taking from you then maybe it's not the right place for it
নহয় ইভেন চোৱা মই তোমাক মই
ভাল কামাই আছে
নাই মোক চাকৰিত মোক লাগিবই হাইক
নহয় মানে কিয় কৈছো জানা মই সেইটো কথা কোৱা নাই হা যেনেকে ক'লে ন MD যোনজন হয় য়েছ তেওঁৰো বহুত হেৰি আছে মানে যেনেকে কোম্পানী এটা চলাবলৈ মেইন যোনজন হয় তো আমাৰো সেনেকুৱা যে হেড যোনজন হয় তেওঁৰো চেলাৰী নাবাঢ়ে হা এনেকুৱা নহয় যে তো মোৰ যোনখিনি তলৰ টিম আছে বা হেৰি আছে চাগে মোৰ ফ্ৰাষ্ট্ৰেশ্যনতকৈ তেওঁলোকৰ আৰু বেছি আছে তো মই সেইটো কোৱা নাই কিন্তু কথাটো মোৰ এটা পইণ্ট হয় যে এটা সপ্তাহ বন্ধ কোনে দিব দিছিলে নিদিলেওতো হ'ল হয়
কিয় দিছিলে বন্ধটো
কিবা কিবি আছিল মানে আৰু
তেনেকৈ বন্ধটো দি পেলাই তুমি নুসুধিলে যে আপোনালোকে বন্ধটো দি পেলাই সেই গোটেইখিনি কাম আকৌ পাইল আপ কৰি একেদিনতে বা টাইম লাইনটোতো এটলিষ্ট বঢ়াই দিয়ক যেনে তুমি এচিভ কৰিবলৈ পাৰোঁ
আল্টিমেটলি কি হয় চব মানে এটা চিষ্টেম ন যোনটো তুমি ক'লা কেনেকুৱা হৈ গ'ল জানা ওপৰৰ পৰা এটা প্ৰেছাৰ আহিছে দেন ওপৰৰ এটা মোৰ এটা প্ৰেছাৰ আহিছে মই
তলত দিব লাগিব অফ কোৰ্ছ
সেইটোৱে তো এইটো মানে এটা চেইন নিচিনা বুজিছা
That's what the system is all about.
যেনেকে
Yeah.
ফুড চেইন ন ৰিমেম্বাৰ এইটোৱে এইটোক খালে এইটোৱে এইটোক খালে সেই আমাকো
নে
মানে
এইটো okay.
তো মানে that frog এটাই কিবা হেৰি
Yeah.
কৰিলে, সেইটো বস্তুৰ নিচিনা
সাপটোৱে ফ্ৰকটোক খালে নেকি ন
that thing মানে তো আল্টিমেটলি দ্য চাৰ্ভাইভেল অফ দ্য ফিটেষ্টটো মানে সঁচা কথা আজি মই চলি আছোঁ কাৰণে চাগে মই টিকি যাম আৰু কিন্তু যদি মই ক'লোঁ ন জব ছেটিছফেকশ্যনৰ কথাটো তো চাগে যাৰ অলপমান মাথা চাথা বেছি শ্বৰ্ট টেম্পাৰ ময়ো হয় বাট যদি বেছি হয় তেতিয়া নোৱাৰে মানে
Yeah.
টিকিব
So তুমি জব ছেটিছফেকশ্যনটো আমাৰ মানুহে কেনেকৈ লয় জানা আমাৰ মানুহে যিটো জব ছেটিছ যেনেকৈ মই মোৰ লগৰবোৰক চাওঁ জব ছেটিছফেকশ্যনটো কি হয় কম কাম কৰাই বেছি পইচা দিয়ে চিম্পল নোশ্যন থাকে আমাৰ মোৰ ফ্ৰেণ্ডছবোৰৰ এণ্ড অল যে জব ছেটিছফেকশ্যন ভাই মেৰা জবটো বদমাস্ত বোলে কিয় তোৰ জবটো ভাল কাম ইমান নাথাকে বাট পইচাটো সময়ত আহি থাকে চ' হি অৰ শ্বি ইজ ছেটিছফাইড উইথ দ্য জব
There's no
Okay.
growth, but
Yeah, but
go ahead.
now they're exactly what you said. Their perspective is also different. সিহঁতে যে holistically বা in a long term সিহঁতৰ culture বা সিহঁতৰ work habits to যে বেয়া কৰিছে কাৰণ কালি পৰহি the same individual when they'll shift to another company when that company will expect যে মই তোক X amount of পইচা pay কৰিছোঁ তই Y amount of কাম মোক উলিয়াই দিব লাগিব again no pressure but this is what you are designated to do hence you are supposed to do it then that person will say अरे बहुत work pressure है why because these people have because in the previous company their culture have gone in such a different trajectory that now when they have shifted to this company they think that this is how work pressure looks like if I have to say tomorrow if I go to your work not just pressure handling depends on what output you're delivering and how you're doing that work done it is not about sitting at the office so many times it's about sitting at the office what people think is that just because a person is spending more time at the office it means I'll tell you in my first company I was so chilled out in my work मतलब 3-4 घंटे चाय पीता था मैं and to be honest I was just चाय पीता था flirting around ये वो I was doing all of that stuff but I get the work done at the end of the day I get the work done so no one tells me anything because I get the work done I'm not fiddling around and not doing work and chilling when I'm doing work and chilling but then there are other people also who are working for straight 9 hours but sometimes they don't get the work done it's about your approach it's about so mane ki hai we cannot just say that this is because of this is happening there's just this and then there's this is happening low pay no job satisfaction no personal time and no holidays, no vacation, piling up the entire 10 days work and making sure that that work gets done in one day. Just like Elon Musk says that if you want, you can do 1 year's work in 1 month's time. I'm sure you can, but then that is a very vague thing to do or very vague thing to say. If you say that I will build a house that takes 1 year to build in 1 month, again, if you use a big 3D printer and build the house, that will be done in 3 days also with something. Pari.
just because you can doesn't mean you should
আৰে তুমি চিমেণ্টটোতো শুকুৱাব নোৱাৰা না এঘণ্টাত বিকজ তোমাৰ মন গ'ল বুজি পাইছা নাই you get the point there are certain things you can't do just because the house the optimum requirement of labor is 50 and you have doubled the optimum that ensures that the work will be done in short
বনাই দিছে একদম এক মাহ ডেৰ মাহ ছমাহ
এক মাহ ডেৰ মাহত ইয়াত কোনোৱে ব্ৰিজ বনোৱা নাই মিছ
okay এইটো দিছে আৰু এইটো হৈছে
এইটো হৈছে নাই ঠিক আছে বাৰু এইটো এইবোৰ নিদিবি দেই বেয়া কথা হ'ব
কোন পাৰ্টিৰ হয়তো সেইটো
ইলেকশ্যন আহি আছে কেতিয়া আমি ৰিলিজ কৰিম এইটো কেতিয়া আমি এইটো ৰিলিজ কৰিম ইলেকশ্যন আগত নে পাছত
ইলেকশ্যনৰ
এইখিনিতো ৰিলিজ কৰি দিয়া ইলেকশ্যন আগত এইখিনি আগতে লৈ দিয়া
সবকা সাথ সবকা বিকাশ কৰিছে
এবাৰ তোমাৰ কথা অলপ জানিব মন আছিলে মোৰ যে
আৰু কাৰ কথা মানে
Yash, you have been you're born in India, you did your schooling and everything, and then tarpisot when you went to USA, tat jetia move korila, how first of all kiman dinor pa asa ta?
It's been 2 years now.
2 years now.
2 years.
So a dui bosorot, what was the biggest cultural shock and how is life different there mane?
Life is different, I would say, in the sense like things of people, they are very individualistic. Like you see in India, wherever we go, we tend to socialize with everyone.
Yeah.
But over there, people are more reserved. So what I felt like since it's been 2 years, and 2 years is a very short span of time for me to experience everything. And so at the beginning, like what I personally felt was like lifestyle over there is very, very individualistic. People are more reserved into themselves. And staying there, it was a cultural shock at the beginning where I learned how to respect other person's privacy, because in India we tend to socialize a lot. We tend to meet everyone, greet everyone who we see, but then over there people are more into themselves.
Okay.
So this is one thing that I felt there.
Personal space to both maintain.
Yeah, that's true. And then one more thing, for suppose if you're hosting a party, let's say at 8 o'clock, and then
Bring her face in
like,
between the conversation.
it's around 8 o'clock. We Indian tend to come by 9:30, 10. We think like reaching little late would be look more cool.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
But then
I do it sometimes.
over there, like a proper
Makes it-
American would reach at 7:59 seconds. So he'll
Oh.
try to be there on time, because as you invited, he wants to respect your timing and your invitation as well.
That is very common.
Yeah, that's very common,
Adit ekdom out.
especially in America. Yeah, but Europeans are little flexible about this, but Americans are very punctual.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Germans are also very strict about it.
Yeah.
Germans
You know,
are strict.
spaceor thing juntu mane personal space juntu koi no. So at a podcast episode which will be out before this, I shot a podcast episode with an Italian girl. She visited India. She was here for a very short period of time. You guys will also see. Gaia, her name is Gaia. তো তাই এটাই কথা কয় যে তাইৰ কাৰণে ইয়াত বহুত বেলেগ শ্বকিং কি হ'ল কি তাই পাৰ্চনেল স্পেচ একদম মানে পোৱা নাই মানে ইয়াত এণ্ড তাই প্ৰচেছটো গম পালে যে ইয়াত একচুৱেলি মানুহে এনেকুৱা হয় মানুহ ইয়াত মানে এইটো বুজি মানে এইটো আমাৰ প্ৰেক্টিছত আমি প্ৰেক্টিছ নকৰোঁ এই বস্তুটো উই লিভ ইন জইণ্ট ফেমিলিজ বা ইউ ন ইটছ জাষ্ট দ্য উইয়াৰ্ড দিছ আমি উই ফাংচন দিছ ৱে মানে ন
লাইক মানে সেই এই বস্তুটো যে ভুল বা শুদ্ধ নহয়, ইটস নট ৰাইট অৰ ৰং, ইটস হাউ ইট ইজ হাউ ইট হেজ বিন হেপেনিং হিয়াৰ ফৰ আ ভেৰি লং টাইম, ইটস আ ৱে অফ লাইফ এণ্ড উই কেনট চে ইটস আ ৰাইট অৰ ৰং, ইটস ৱে বিয়ণ্ড দেট, ইট ইজ হাউ ইট হেজ বিন হেপেনিং মানে.
Like I would like to add one more point to it. For suppose like when I came here for vacation, and when I was staying in my room, in between my mom tend to like send someone to just clean my room. So what I personally felt like a person just walking inside my room without letting me know, cleaning my stuff, removing things and adjusting as per his or her own wish. I personally felt like when this cup is supposed to be here, why is it there? Why can't it be here?
Yeah.
And why there's like I felt like that my privacy is being invaded for a moment. So this is something like it took me a while to get used to it, but then now I'm quite fine with it. But then at the beginning I was having little difficulty with all this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you have difficulty adjusting there? Mane coming from going from India to US, hey privacy to je mane belego khub bisaribo punctuality to.
Yeah.
Did you struggle with that or easy?
Not really, but then I used to feel quite lonely at the beginning. I used to call up my parents and say कि मम्मी मेरा मन नहीं लग रहा है यहाँ पे.
Excuse me.
Not homesick, like I feel like I hardly have friends here. If I want to go out at 9 o'clock, who do I call up?
Yeah, exactly. If I can add to that, so that people watching this can find a little help with this. So basically, you have someone who is shifted with and then the moment you said you feel lonely and stuff. So how this individual culture, like this individualistic culture of them,
You
of
tend to
the
get
West,
used to it, sort of.
that happens eventually. Let's take that first step. Let's say when you don't know about that place, that area, you're finding yourself a house, you're trying to find some friends, you're trying to hang out. Shifting here, the food is completely different. They eat mainly frozen food. You might as well be finding Indian food. How did you cope up with that entire thing? Because there's a huge cultural difference. So enlighten us about that.
At the beginning, it was a little difficult, like I said, but eventually I got used to it, like cooking my own meals, preparing my own food, and then cleaning my room all by myself, doing laundry by myself.
Yeah.
And like I said, people over there focus more on lifestyle rather than work. So I had ample amount of time to focus on myself and get things done according to my way and eventually get used to it. Yeah.
If I can, what do you mean by lifestyle? The definition of lifestyle, what you're saying is everything else you do apart from work.
See, let's take an example of 5 plus 5 is 10, 8 plus 2 is 10, 7 plus 3 is also 10. The idea is to get 10, but there can be multiple ways to get it. In the same way, we want result.
Right.
That doesn't mean one particular way has to be the correct way to get it.
Makes sense.
Someone can get it by focusing on personal life as well as work. Someone can focus on completely on work and less on personal life. It depends from person to person how they would like to adjust as per their preference. So that's what I'm saying. Like over there, what I personally felt, people focus more on lifestyle. Like for suppose, I have unlimited holidays, provided the work that is given to me is done.
Oh.
I work 40 hours a week, but then saying 40 hours is on paper, but then
Yeah.
30, 35, after that I leave.
Mm.
And then like I can take unlimited like medical leave if I'm sick. I can take unlimited medical leave. Even when I say medical leave, even mental health leave is also taken into big consideration.
Acha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kasturi needs one.
If you're mentally,
But
Yeah.
ইয়াতে নাই ন
yeah,
Nah.
like if you're
Yeah.
stressful, if you're upset, if you're
তাত
feeling,
আছে এটা বস্ton
Yeah.
যাম মই
Boston বস্তালৈ যোৱা
লৈ যাবা মোক লগত
definitely you guys are always welcome. So what I'm saying is like you know, keeping jokes aside, like mental health is also taken into big consideration.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling mentally healthy, you're happy, you can take as long leave as you can. But then this is something that India should get used to it, should start
Yeah.
picking up. But there's one more thing I would like to add is that when I try to say that we compare ourselves with the West, it's not a fair comparison.
Yeah.
Because we need to take one thing into very big consideration, that after India's independence, when Britishers they left India into dust and ashes. We rose from there like a phoenix, and right now, at today's time, we come on the top 10 economy in the country, which is not
In the world.
Yeah, in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the world. Sorry,
Top 10
in the world,
GDPs, yeah.
which is definitely like a point to be noted.
Yeah, very commendable.
So this is something that India's growth cannot be taken into like you know, something like a minimal contribution.
Yeah.
This is something like which definitely has to be noticed. So that's what
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So do you think in next 5 years
Yeah. Very, very valid question is this one. Very valid question.
Okay. Yeah, what are we saying?
Yeah, don't leave it.
Do you think in next 5 years India will be like in top 3?
See, I'm not sure like if I have the answer to that question, but then keeping multiple scenario, like you know, like taking multiple consideration, like economical growth, world politics, world economical situations. So I don't know, like, but I definitely see a very progressive growth for sure.
তই যে তাত থাক, how do you see American people looking at India now? মানে what
See,
sort of
the thing
impression
is-
do they have?
আহিব বিচাৰে নেকি আৰু কাম কৰিব
কেতিয়াও
They
নাই।
definitely, like, to be honest, one more thing I would like to add. Majority of the West, like Europeans or Americans, they outsource their work from India. You go to San Francisco,
Of course.
all the IT jobs are done by Indians.
Yep.
You come to, like, you know, Europe side, all the IT jobs are done by us.
Yeah.
Majority. I won't say all, but majority. When it comes to maths and science, we have a big contributing to the economy. Majority of the, even when it comes to finance. So this is something we definitely need to take into consideration, why we as an Indian tend to contribute to the world economy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you this, in your 2 years, did you face racism?
A lot. A lot.
How? Tell us about it.
See, like, how should I say it? Like, racism is something that people go through everywhere and every day. Even if you see, I'm sorry to say this, I see Assam as a beautiful state. I see Northeast as a beautiful state. But people are very divided amongst each other. Everybody feels superior compared to the other. Where the truth is, we all should be feeling equally amongst all of us. But everyone has that notion, though, that we are superior to the other part of the country or other tribe or other community, which I feel it is also a perfect example of racism. Like you said.
Yeah, I agree.
This is
with
something
that. I agree.
like I don't have to travel across the 7 seas to figure it out. This is something that I can figure out right here itself, and we all are going through it.
Yeah. True that.
So did you really struggle with that? মানে
No.
তাত মানে did it get really bad? মানে because আজিকালি বহুত নিউজ আমি চাই আছো. In fact, let me say this, কেইদিনমান আগত you sent me a video where I would say, I don't know exactly Indian
Indian
আছিল
was,
na Pakistani,
like
whatever
assaulted,
it was.
yeah.
Yes, assaulted very badly, like, you know. Aru, now I feel racism is really at its peak
Okay.
in many parts of the world. Be it US, I know moi US or নহয়, but news দেখা পাও to, you know, there is tatu bahut racism হৈ আছে. let's be মানে
Okay.
we can be vocal about
Okay.
that, right? আৰু ইয়াতো হৈ আছে দেই, ইয়াতো বহুতে মানে I feel
Okay.
যে হৈ থাকে because ইয়াত হয় এই কাৰণে because every state has their own culture,
Yeah.
and like you said
Everyone
সবে
tells
নিজৰ
us-
নিজৰটো superior মানে
ভাবে।
এইটো ভাবে আৰু
Mhm.
বস্তুটো তো তাত মানে কিমান বেয়ালৈকে যাব পাৰে মানে লাইক
See, depends. Like
Personally-
depends. Like to be honest, I shared a reel which was like a worldwide news that in this throughout in a 1 year span of time, excuse me, approx 10 Indians were assaulted or one or two were even killed. So this is something like I won't say it's like very common, but it is common since people like how should I add this like how should I say this? Like people are like like the crime rate is like really high over there.
so I met this American girl back in 2015, okay?
Mhm.
And then what she told me was the racism that you see on the news is actually just 20%.
Yeah,
Basically, তাই নিজৰ country কথাই
Yeah,
কৈ আছে,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't want to put a bad name on
yeah,
on America or something
Yeah.
like that, but তাই basically এইটো ক'ব বিচাৰি আছে যে নিউজত তই যি দেখ তাতকে বহুত বেছি হয়
yeah. True.
মানে about the blacks also out there,
Yeah.
no? আমি যোনটো দেখা পাওঁ যে জৰ্জ ফ্লয়ডৰ কেছ বা হোৱাট এভাৰ ইট ইজ ন, সেইটো একচুৱেলি এভৰি ডে হৈ থাকে বোলে
Yeah.
এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ কেছ হয়নে নহয়
Yeah.
বস্তুটো তো ইজ দেৰ এনি হেল্প লেটছ চে ইউৰ বিং এছল্টেড আউট দেৰ মানে বেলেগ ধৰণৰ হেল্প কমিউনিটি মানে আমাৰ ইণ্ডিয়ান কমিউনিটিটো বহুত ষ্ট্ৰং হয়
Strong,
বাৰু।
yeah.
তো তাত হাউ ডু ইউ ফিল যে হাউ ইজ ইট মানে
See,
হেল্প চেল্প
see, see. For when it comes to security, you have like a like your the local police helping you out, the local like the politicians helping you out, your own community people helping you out. So when it comes to help and support, you have enough. But this is something like when it comes to racism or sort of a assaulting or anything, this is something like it goes on like quite often, but I won't say it's very common. But this is something a part of like that a person like figures out. It happens everywhere. In fact, like they say, America is a land of immigrants.
yes
There are immigrants all across the world comes and settles there, whether it's Russians or whether it's Europeans or whether it's South American, North American, whichever country they are from. So they all tend to like so if you see when people from all across the globe are going to come and settle in one particular land, so racism is something that's bound to happen and something that's definitely going to take place, and you have to deal with it as a day-to-day lifestyle. So yeah.
I mean, just to add on to this, I mean, I don't know if you'll agree to the whole point or not. I think racism, casteism, and so many things are just tools to achieve a certain result. Now, why do I say so? Let's say, why? So there is always a why associated. Why? Why would you? Why? I mean, someone who's black, white, just having a Mongolian feature, whatever, they're not doing any harm to each other unless, let's just assuming they are walking. Racism happens when they are walking down the street and there's a slur that's coming on the opposite side or something. But I think it works. I mean, there is always a why associated. Why is this happening? From the cultural perspective, if you see, of course, the black and the white has always been there. We are browns, no? Although we are considered more towards the black and the
yes
because that's how the cultural thing has happened from hundreds of years. I think now racism is a tool. Now casteism is a tool. I am going to the land of opportunities, America, and then I am suddenly becoming a person who's a bit more talented, who's a bit more hardworking, who's then apparently I'm becoming someone who's a bit more deserving, and then someone who's a local there, which is not just America, which is prevailing everywhere in our place also. Well, তই বাহিৰৰ পৰা আহি তই আমাৰ চাকৰি লৈ লৈছ, তই আমাৰ ঘৰ লৈ লৈছ, তই আমাৰ ল'ৰা বা আমাৰ ছোৱালীৰ লগত বিয়া পাতি পেলাই তই আমাৰ গোটেই কালচাৰৰ বা যিটো আমাৰ লেটছে যদি হোৱাইটে যদি ব্লেকৰ লগত বিয়া পাতিছে বা ব্লেকে হোৱাইটৰ লগত বিয়া পাতিছে, তই গোটেই সেই গোটেই ফেমিলি ট্ৰী বা যিটো আমাৰ কালচাৰেল হেৰিটেজ আছে সেইটো গোটেইটো ব্ৰেক কৰি পেলাই তই এটা বেলেগ এটা ডাইৰেকশ্যন লৈ গৈছ. চ' again, because it's not acceptable culturally, because they have taken someone's job, because of why. The why, I think, is a very important part of why are people turning into racist, why are people turning into that.
I want to ask this to all of you, okay? And be honest, huh? Do you support this mix happening?
Yeah.
Or do you really think that nai হোৱাইট একচুৱেলি হোৱাইটে থাকিব লাগে, ব্লেকে থাকিব লাগে, ব্ৰাউনে থাকিব
I love the mix.
I suppose the
I
mix.
love
What
the
about
mix.
you?
I love the mix.
মিক্স হ'ব লাগে
চ' তুমি কৈছা মিক্স হ'ব লাগে, ৰাইট? তো তুমি তোমাৰ কোনো নিজৰ জাতিৰ লগত কোনো একো কথা নাই, তুমি মিক্স মানে ইউ ডোন্ট হেভ এ প্ৰব্লেম উইথ ৰিলিজন অৰ হাউ দে লুক, তুমি মিক্স হ'ব পাৰিবা, ইজন্ট ইট? আৰু তই
তাইক তো job satisfaction লাগে। তাইক job satisfaction লাগে।
মই নোৱাৰো চোৱা
Tell us.
Tell us,
I'm
yeah.
keen to hear about.
মানে চোৱা এতিয়া কেনেকুৱা হয়
Where is your mic?
আকৌ মাই
ল'বতো লাগিব না।
অনে আছে, তই ওপৰত ধৰি
নোৱাৰো মানে অবভিয়াছলি তোমালোকে পাৰিবা চাগে, কিন্তু কিছুমান বস্তু এনেকুৱা হয় মই যদি ৰাইট যাওঁ সিহঁত লেফ্ট যাব।
নহয় তুমি এটা ডিপ সোমাই গৈছা। তুমি ঠিকে আছা।
বেলেগ কৈ আছো মানে আমি যে এইটো কৈ আছো যে সাপোজ কালচাৰেল মিক্সটো মানে
সেইটোৱে ন
গ্লোবালাইজেশ্যন হ'ব লাগে নাই, মানুহ ইফালে ট্ৰেভেল কৰিব লাগে নাই,
নহয় ট্ৰেভেলৰ কথা নহয়। আল্টিমেটলি চোৱা কি হ'ব জানা, যেতিয়া তুমি নৰ্মেল এটা কালচাৰত মই মানে ডাঙৰ হৈছোঁ, ই এটা বেলেগ কালচাৰত ডাঙৰ হৈছে, তো গৈ থৈ কি হ'ব অবভিয়াছলি আমাৰ থাকে ন তাৰ বেলেগ মোৰ বেলেগ, কিন্তু গৈ থৈ মানে কেনেকুৱা নিচিনা হয় ন' ডাউট এনেকুৱা নহয় যে সি কিছুমান বস্তু সি কিছুমান বস্তু থাকে মোৰ পৰা শিকিছে বা মই তাৰ কিছুমান বস্তু শিকিছোঁ, বাট আল্টিমেটলি গৈ থৈ নহয় তাৰ নেক্সট জেনেৰেশ্যনটোৱে সি তাৰ কালচাৰে ল'ব, মোৰ জেনেৰেশ্যনটোৱে মোৰ কালচাৰে ল'ব। তুমি যোনটো কথা কৈছা ন মানুহ মিক্স হ'ব লাগে নে নাই, লাগে, বাট আল্টিমেটলি নিজৰটো নিজৰে থাকি যায় ন, সেইটো কথা কৈছা।
ইউ ডু হেভ এ ভেলিড পইণ্ট। তুমি মানে কৈছা যে দুটা যদি বেলেগ কালচাৰৰ পৰা মানুহ যদি একেলগে আহে, দেন সিহঁতৰ অফ স্প্ৰিংছবোৰে কোনটো চুজ কৰিব বা কেনেকৈ কি হ'ব। বাট আই হেভ চিন পিপল হু আৰ ভেৰি ৱেল একুৱেইণ্টেড, মানে এতিয়া মোৰ যিমান লগৰ বা মষ্টলি ৰিচেণ্টলি আজি মানে সিহঁতৰ পোৱালি হোৱা নাই, বাট যোনবোৰ একেলগে আছে, বিকজ আই ষ্টাডিড চামৱেৰ এলছ ৱেৰ from people who are from different states of India. So I have seen people getting married to random states, মানে they don't know shit about them. মানে মই দেখিছোঁ বিয়াত প্ৰব্লেম হৈছে, মানুহ আহাত হেৰি হৈছে। মই ৰিচেণ্টলি পুনে গৈছোঁ, ইট ৱাজ এ ৱেডিং অফ এন ওড়িয়া গাই উইথ জেন গাৰ্ল ফ্ৰম আলিগড় UP. চ' হৈছে, বাট দেন তুমি কিন্তু কৈছা ইভেঞ্চুৱেলি তুমি ছাপৰ্ট নকৰা, বাট আই এম ট্ৰাইং টু আণ্ডাৰষ্টেণ্ড ৱাই। তুমি নিজৰ যিটো ফাউণ্ডেশ্যন আছে, যিটো আমাৰ কালচাৰেল বা আমাৰ যিখিনি অব্লিগেশ্যনছ টুৱাৰ্ডছ our religion or what we have been following since our childhood, we do not want to let it go and we want to give the same to our offsprings as well. Ha mane tumi koisa vanish hoy jabo. Very valid point, but that is already happening and it will happen.
No, তুমি ঠিকে কৈছা, কিন্তু দ্য পইণ্ট ইজ তোমাৰ এইটো হিচাপে নাহে যে মই ভাবোঁ যে জাষ্ট বিকজ তোমাৰ মানে একে কালচাৰৰ হয় তো সেইটো কালচাৰেল যিটো তোমাৰ লাৰ্ণিং হয় বা কিবা হয় সেইটো পাচন নকৰিব পৰা নহয়। মই কৈছোঁ কিমান মানুহে পাচন কৰা সেইটোত হৈছে, that to depends, no?
But it's about you.
Same culture.
What are you gonna give? It's not about what you have got. Are you gonna give it?
এতিয়া বহুত বস্তু আছে তোমাৰ। মই এতিয়া যদি কওঁ ক্ৰাফ্টৰ বিষয়ে বা সেনেকুৱা আমাৰ আৰ্টৰ বিষয়ে, তো তুমি কেইটা আৰ্টিষ্ট মেনুস্ক্ৰিপ্ট দেখি পাইছা আজিলৈকে? মই যদি সুধোঁ, বা কেইজন আৰ্টিষ্টক দেখি পাইছা, কিমান জানা সেইটো বিষয়ে? যদি আমালৈ পাছ হোৱা নাই তো সেইটোত কুৱেশ্যনেই নাই অহা যে এইটো
মই কি কৈছো যেনেকে তুমি এতিয়া তোমাৰ ক্ৰাফ্টৰ হেৰি হওক, তুমি obviously তোমাৰ নেক্সট জেনাৰেশ্যনটো সেইটো ট্ৰাই কৰিবা ন দিবলৈ,
only if I have the knowledge of it, no?
সেইটোৱে, বাট তুমি এতিয়া পাই গ'লা, তুমি obviously সেইটো বিচাৰিবা ন, যেনেকে মই এতিয়া নাজানো তোমাৰ সেইটো, তোমাৰ নেক্সট জেনাৰেশ্যনটো এটলিষ্ট 10টাকটো দিব।
But why can't they have both?
Because see, I will
মানে তুমি মানে overpower কথা কৈছা।
আৰু তুমি
মই একদম দুটা কথা কৈছো। Let's say there is a Hindu Muslim marriage, একদম যেটো আৰু ইজি হ'ব, ব্ল্যাক এণ্ড হোৱাইট যিটো হয় আমাৰ কথা পাতিবলৈ ইজি হয়। তো তুমি মানে কৈছা যে মানে তুমি মানে কৈছা মানে পোৱালিটোৱে কি ল'ব, মানে the offspring which
নৰ্মালি এনেকুৱা হয় বাপেকৰটোৱে পায়, যোনটো আমি
the dominant সেইটো
যোনটো বাপেকৰটোৱে পায়।
নে সাইন্টিফিকলি নাযাওঁ, আমি কালচাৰেলি যাওঁ। মানে
মই সেইটোৱে কৈছো, যেনেকৈ নহওক ডমিনেণ্ট তাই পইণ্টটো সেইটো
ল'ৰাটোৰ বাপেকৰে ল'ব। মই তেতিয়া একদম একচেপ্ট কৰিম যোনটো তোমালোকে কথা পাতি আছে, যদি মাকৰটো লয়।
Why is it necessary?
বাট সেইটো হয়, মোৰ এনেকুৱা ফ্ৰেণ্ডছ বহুত
ইণ্ডিয়াত হয়, আমাৰ সোসাইটিত তেনেকুৱা হয়।
আমাৰ
No, no, ল'ৰাটোৱে যে কৈছা মই কৈছো হয়, মই মানিছো যে the male thing has been accepted more.
10টা বা 20টা 80টাটো থাকি যায় ন যোনটো প্ৰেক্টিক্যালি আমি চাই আহিছো
That depends on the individual.
The
You're correct.
individual.
You're not wrong. You're correct. মই তোমাক wrong কোৱা নাই.
I think this is a very subjective matter.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
Very
Exactly what I'm
subjective,
saying.
yeah.
I would
Do
like
you
say
want to
something
do
on
it?
both
Yeah.
of your behalf.
Please.
It's like this is a very subjective matter about intercaste or whatever you guys are talking about. I feel this is a very subjective matter in the sense someone can be cool with it, someone cannot be cool with it. As long as like I am cool with it, that doesn't mean like someone else also has to be cool with it. Just because I have my certain principles, certain belief systems, certain thoughts, and it's not being like like fiddle around with it or tampered with it, but someone is okay with it. So it's a very subjective matter. And when it comes to your point, like which side, I think this is a decision we should just leave it up to them,
Right.
and they are free to decide whoever they wish to follow,
কিন্তু
rather than
ল'ৰাটোৱে
other than
নহয় নে?
No, you're correct, but then
No, not really,
you're
yeah.
coming from the very US standpoint.
no no
I mean, yeah, you're right.
See, people ভাল লাগে
Here it is a little different. I mean, of
ভাল
course you
লাগে
know
ন,
it. You're here only.
Let
But
me
then
tell you one more thing. I'm a proper North Indian. I've been staying in Assam for more than 28, 29 years. So but the thing is that I follow my mother's side of the family more than my dad's side of the family.
why?
It's like a personal attachment to me.
Exactly. What if you were given a choice?
I would, since I have a personal attachment, personal inclination, my personal like more attached towards one mom side than my dad's side, is I would any day would pick that.
No, I mean you have made that decision before you've gained,
I have given a choice, dad side or mom side. I chose mom side because I'm
which is
personally
good. When did you choose it?
But if somebody forces upon me, no, you have to take this. I think that like my belief system is being like being forced upon. Like
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
is trying to impose their
Yeah,
own thoughts,
yeah,
which isn't
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Which I would like to live
Correct,
my life with my own thoughts. That's
correct. What if you are an infant and you haven't gained that consciousness? As in like let's say I'm a kid, 7-year, 8-year-old
But at
kid.
some point of time,
He
like,
was an infant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he
I
grew
understand,
up like
and I
that.
didn't have a conscience.
Yeah, as
But
an
at some point
infant,
of time, I will
you
definitely
don't.
have my own liking also,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. As in, exactly. That's what I'm saying before that.
It frames
Let's
you
say
like that.
you have been put in such the room that
Environment
and
to
that
it.
accustomed and all, so that because eventually as a child we would think what is happening around us is the thing.
It's the normal
Because
thing.
of course we don't know anything. It's later on in stage when 8, 9, 10, 11, then we get more exposed to the world. We're like, okay, no, there's a bigger world than what we are doing in our homes, right? So let's say from a very initial stage you have been exposed to such an environment which is towards a certain dominance, whatever it might be. But then
But
it
that
is
doesn't mean that
really
you have to pick that. You always
exactly.
have a
I'm not
freedom of
given
choice.
exactly. You've been given a choice later on, or let's say you're not even given a choice. You feel free to choose. Coming back to what she was saying, let's say whichever one is the dominant amongst whatever or not, then what if you are accustomed to a certain lifestyle so much that it's a little difficult? Let's say tomorrow if I want to change my religion, man, it's gonna be insane because then I have to change like everything now.
But it's
But
not
as a
that
kid,
People do.
but it's a very tough call. But then
Yes.
eventually it's a very tough call.
ডকুমেণ্টৰ পৰা আৰম্ভ কৰি চব চেঞ্জ কৰিব লাগিব এইটো কোৱা কথা নহয়
Even not just a document, your entire lifestyle. Document to বাদেই দিছো মই document to বাদেই দিছো নালাগে document তাই বোলে তাই চাকৰি তাই পেন কৰিব পৰা উঠিব পৰা নাই তাই না পেন লাগিব
Everything is
Iman-
paperwork.
belief
নহয়,
system,
Yeah.
চব
Belief
cultural
system.
কোৱা,
differences.
সেইটোতো তুমি তথাপিও কথাই কথাই বা হেৰিত ইজি হৈ যাব ন বাট তোমাৰ চব তোমাৰ বাৰ্থ চাৰ্টিফিকেটৰ পৰা আৰম্ভ কৰি
আধাৰ কাৰ্ডৰ পৰা আৰম্ভ কৰি বঢ়িয়া
এটা তুমি এনআৰচি যদি নোপোৱা চেছ
So, এই বস্তুটো ময়ো I understood, huh? He is asking questions in a very deeper way. I wanted to ask why factor is into সদায় সব কথা নোদে. It's a very good thing. But I also agreed your
Yeah.
point যে এই subject to both individualistic হেৰি হয় because preserving a culture is also as important as because mixing যদি ভালকে চাও ন it's evolutionary. At
Yeah.
some point এই বস্তুটো হবই.
and you can't stop it you can't stop it yeah
Yes, you
correct,
can stop
correct.
it, হা তো এতিয়া কথাটো হৈ গ'ল যে যাৰ মন যায় কৰিব লাগে যাৰ মন নাই নকৰিলে হৈ গ'ল আৰু বস্তুটো হয় নে
We
নহয়
are in the 21st century. We have a freedom of choice.
yeah
তো
absolutely
ফ্ৰীডম অফ চইচৰ এটা কথা আহে যেনেকে মই কৈছো মই জইণ্ট ফেমিলিত ডাঙৰ হৈছো ঠিক আছে মোৰ কেতিয়াবা মন যায় যে মই এখন বিয়াত নাযাওঁ নাই যাব লাগিব কিয়
yeah
তাতে কিয় ফ্ৰীডম অফ চইচ নাই
No, you're correct. Again, everyone is correct.
বুজিছা?
You are correct.
সেইটোৱে
Social obligation.
Social
ultimately
obligation
গৈ থৈ
society.
চোৱা সেইটোৱে
Yeah,
কৈছো ন
yeah,
কিছুমানত তুমি য়েছ মই এতিয়া চিঞৰিব পাৰো ফ্ৰীডম অফ
Yeah,
চইচ
yeah, yeah.
অমুক তমুক বাট কেতিয়াবা
কিন্তু
গৈ
নহয়,
থৈ
yeah.
তুমি সেইটোত তোমাৰ কাম নাহে মানে
Yeah.
বুজিছা সেইটোৱে
চা তই যোনটো পইণ্ট দিছ সেইটো লাইক মানে তই কাজিয়া লাগি পাৰ তো আনাবলৈ সেই
আৰু
বস্তুটো
বাট আল্টিমেটলি অশান্তি এটা ন
অশান্তিত হয় কিন্তু
তো নকৰো
এইটো
সেইটোৱে।
now this going back to the entire cultural thing that the US there's a very individual thing আমাৰ না না it's a collective thing বিয়া মানে collective হেৰি মানে collective শ্ৰাদ্ধ মানেও collective সব মানুহকে মাতিব
মানে
লাগিব
এটা
So,
মাহত ই জানে কণ্টিনিউ বিয়া বিয়া খালো আৰু বিয়া ভাগৰ লাগে
তোমাৰ
ন
মন যোৱা নাই হলেও খালা because you're obliged to go to it
Obliged.
because someone in your family knows that person someone something and
যাবই
you're
লাগিব।
আৰু নগলে বেয়া পাব
যাবই
সেই বেয়া
লাগিব।
পাব না সেইটো
সিহঁতৰ বিয়া নোহোৱাকে নাথাকে মই নাযাওঁ কাৰণে
exactly
এইটো ইভেন মই
yeah
জানো
like you are not even significant in the entire scenario
সেইটোৱে।
you're non-existent but
যাব লাগিব
attendance দিব
ক'ত
লাগিব
ফ্ৰীডম অফ ইয়াতে চইচ কোৱা ক'ত ফ্ৰীডম অফ চইচ
চা সেইটো এইটো এটা পাৰ্চনেল হেৰি বাৰু এইটো বস্তু মানে কাৰোবাৰ ঘৰত থাকে
মানে-
কাৰোবাৰ ঘৰত
let's just wrap thing up by saying something by my mom tells me mane যে again this also goes to human evolution also which mane has eventually been chosen the path as humans we have always lived in societies okay mane that is how the humans have evolved ami khoday river banks ot asilu since the starting of the civilization because water was there and we have always in order to save ourselves from the wild animals we have always chosen to stay in groups in communities in societies and that is where the entire thing has been emerged now later on people have chosen to stay individually and all it's fine but as a catalyst of humans we were staying together মোৰ মাহঁতে কয় যে সমাজক কেনেকৈ আমি এৰি দিওঁ কাৰণ সমাজে বহুতখিনি কৰিছে এণ্ড চিয়'ৰলি কৰিছে সমাজে হেল্প কৰে এগেইন কামিং বেক টু হোৱাট উই আৰ ডিছকাছিং choosing whether you want and amar mane ki hoy because we choose not to go it is taken as a sign of disrespect to the person we are already wishing well to them just because I'm not attending that wedding does not mean I don't well wish for them I am going there it is of no significance to them of course they will really appreciate us going there and being a part of a milestone of life but then a society culture to mane he tetiao asile আৰু এণ্ড আমি মাহঁতক ব্লেম দি মানে লাভ নাই বিকজ আমিও মে বি সেইটোৱে কৰিম উই ডোণ্ট ন' মে বি ৱেন উই হেভ আ ফেমিলি উই মাইট এজ ৱেল ডু দ্য চেম নকৰিব পাৰোঁ উই ডোণ্ট ন'
মেমৰি কাৰ্ড চেঞ্জ কৰিব লাগিব
উই ডোণ্ট ন' দেট চ' আই থিংক দেট ইজ চামথিং দেট ইজ বিন দেয়াৰ আৰু
what is that one thing mane which you really think the west may learn from or should learn from our culture mane india mane এনেকুৱা কিবা ফিল কৰিছ নেকি বাহিৰত গৈ যে নাই এইটো বস্তু যদিও ৱেষ্ট ইকনমিকেলি বেছি ভাল বা হেন টেন কিবা কিবি অলপ আগত আছে আমাতকে কিন্তু এই বস্তুটো আমি সিহঁততকে বেছি ভাল কৰোঁ এনেকৈ কি আছে মানে what have you felt
How should I answer that? Like, I think it's too early for me to come to a conclusion at the moment.
anything that comes to your mind
I would say like food. Yeah, when it comes to food, I find
yes man fuck shit
but
This-
food is because obviously ঘৰৰ খানা ঘৰৰ
no, food is like because not only because if you see, like majority of the spices that the West have is all being imported from here.
from us yeah
Like, so what I'm trying to say is like I wouldn't say that their culture, our culture, whatever. There's a difference for sure, but I wouldn't. But one thing I would say like yeah, there are a lot of like things that we can help in the sense like when it comes to like I mentioned earlier, contributing in the IT sectors. We have a major contribution to in their IT sectors, financial sector, the medical sector, engineering sectors, and also when it comes to food and textile.
Okay, so basically my question was this যে এটা এক্সাম্পল দিলে you will understand better
Okay.
is I always felt বাহিৰত পেৰেণ্টছক যে ওল্ড এজ হোমত ভৰাই দিয়ে and that culture নাই যোনটো মৰাৰলৈকে আমি কেয়াৰ লৈ থাকো right someone
So,
takes the responsibility to do that
That's something very common in India as well. Like you see so many people abandoning their parents.
that is okay fine that is maybe common but অলপ অলপ নতুনকে অহা আৰম্ভ হৈছে
Not only this
এতিয়া।
has been like there since a
but
long time.
comparatively do you really
Comparatively,
think
like I wouldn't say like theirs higher, ours is higher, whatever. But I'm saying this is something that abandoning your parents during old age. It's not only that the West has been doing it. It's something we ourselves has also been doing it. If you see, There's so many old ages home. If you walk in, you'll see old parents is just because their young children have like abandoned them for their own selfish reasons, whatever. Maybe it can be selfish, maybe it not be selfish. As it can be subjective, whatever. So what I'm saying, I don't think. Basically, I don't agree to that 100%.
Okay, okay. So you're saying ইয়াত তাত যিমানটো হয় ইয়াতো হয়
Yeah,
মানে,
maybe, but there might be a little bit of difference, like
Okay,
to a point.
Okay. So Nizom, I always wanted to ask you this thing that one of the biggest, what do you think is the biggest fear that humans have? I want to ask you this question.
No, that is the one. But then scientifically, statistically, not scientifically, then there's the other thing is speaking.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Public speaking is one of the biggest things. মানে spider কয় কিবা কয় ন, but মানুহে নেজানে public speaking is one of the biggest
Yeah.
things people fear.
So there was a research that is done. They were made to ki either you go out and speak in front of 1,000 people, or either you chose to die in an electrolute chair. I think I forgot. I think if that's the right word. So most of them chose ki we would choose to die. Of course, they were not dead. Given a choice, they would say, I want.
Yes, yes.
It's fear.
So you being a public speaker, how can people, those who have the fear, or what's the best way to practice মানে এই বস্তুটো ভাল হবলে বা at least start কৰিবলে, those who want to become a public speaker?
Yeah, there are so many things. First of all, is like there's a difference between the language and communication. So many people think that because someone can speak proper English, they're good at their communications. Someone can be good at the language, and someone can be shit at the way they present it, and it has nothing to do with it. It's communication is a completely different ball game of how you're presenting your thoughts, how you're able to decipher what is being told to you, or in a certain way. And language is the medium. You can be good speakers in any language. অসমীয়াটো হ'ব পাৰা, হিন্দীটো হ'ব পাৰা, চবতে হ'ব পাৰা। বহুতে মোক কয়, and also Indiaৰ এটা বেয়া কথা এটা আছে, our intellect is put at the pedestal based on the language how we speak. Again, it has nothing to do with that. There might be someone who might as well not be able to articulate things properly, but they are damn good at what they do. So the intellectual লগত সেইটো হেৰি নাই। So মই মানে সদায় start কৰিলে এইটো break কৰি লওঁ। কাৰণ সদায় মানে মানুহে মানে ভাবে আৰে কি বঢ়িয়া ইংলিছ কয়, কিবা ভালে কৰে। নট নেচেচাৰিলি জাষ্ট বিকজ মই ইংলিছ কওঁ কিবা হেৰি কৰোঁ বুলি।
আৰু অলসো being politically correct is people মানে বহুত ইম্পৰ্টেন্স দিয়ে সেই বস্তুটো instead of the real matters.
Yeah, because it is a good thing to sell. See, India, most of the people are residing in tier 2, tier 3 cities. It is the tier 1 city there where English is very widely spoken. Excuse me. If you start speaking English in Guwahati on a regular basis to people who are not speaking English on a regular basis, they will tell you, "Ki man English koi thago."
I'll tell you one of the biggest things that will happen after this podcast gets released is gali khamami, because we're talking a lot in English, and that happens. কিয় তহঁতি ইমান ইংলিছত কথা পাতিব লাগে এনেকা কয়, এনেকা আগৰ পডকাষ্টতো বহুতবাৰ হৈছে। বা why are you, I want to say this, I want to take this opportunity to say something, বহুত মানুহে গালি দিয়ে যে কি আধা অসমীয়া আধা ইংলিছ কৈ আছ, but a lot of people don't understand কি এনেকাও মানুহে কমিউনিকেট কৰে। there is nothing wrong as long as ইটো মানুহে uncomfortable হোৱা নাই ওচৰত বহি থকাটো বা সেনেকা আমি কমিউনিকেট কৰি আছো, এইটো কোনো বেয়া, এইটো মানে একো মানে
অফেন্ড কৰিবলৈ নহয়,
অফেন্ড কৰা কথা নহয় এইটো বস্তু। there are just people who talk like that, who uses mixed languages. It's not the end of the world.
We all do it.
Yes.
In fact, তেওঁলোকো কৰে। মানে most of the people who are মানে let's say so there is the ভুল ভুলাইয়াত যে এটা ইংলিছৰ মাষ্টাৰ এটা আছে, সেই ইংলিছৰ মাষ্টাৰটোৱে সেই মানুহবোৰে গছৰ তলত বহি থাকোঁতে সি গৈ পেলাই যে কয় যে আৰে आपको भी नहीं पता कि आप अपने रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में कितना अंग्रेजी बोल लेते हो। যেনেকৈ পিয়ৰ অসমীয়া কোৱা মানুহবোৰো they end up saying thank you. Why do you say thank you? Just say ধন্যবাদ মানে, and there's nothing wrong in it মানে। hi or the hello, ফোন কৰিলেতো hello বুলিয়ে কয় না, হেল্লো ইংলিশে হয় না। so again সব বস্তুবোৰ মানে আমি সব বস্তুবোৰ ইমান পেষ্টিং বা সৰু সৰু বস্তু নধৰি পেলাই আমি যদি সেইটো কৰি আমাৰ এজ আ ছ'চাইটি আমাৰ চবৰ কাৰণে ভাল হ'ব। চ' এইটো মানে কিয় again coming back to what we are saying, English to cure is a good thing to sell, because of the psychological things that we have. কোনোবাই যেহেতু যদি ইংলিছ ভাল কয়, maybe he or she is more educated.
But Nizom, adding to that,
Yeah.
we are also like decolonizing our economy in that sense. Let's take an example. I go to court. I wish I never go to court, but suppose I go to court. I have a problem. I understand Assamese more properly, or maybe Hindi more properly, or maybe some other national language more properly, but the lawyer and the judge are communicating in English. Lawyer stated my case in English, and the judge has presented his conclusion in English. Why is this happening? Like, my thing is like, when my nationality languages, or the my state languages, which is more important to me, why are we talking in some foreign languages? Don't you think we are decolonizing? Let's take an example. Sanskrit. Me being a North Indian, I should have been fluent in Sanskrit, but I don't know Sanskrit. That's I feel quite that I feel quite shameful about it, but I try to overcome. I'm learning Assamese a lot. Oh, and then I'm also like progressing in that particular field a lot. Hindi is quite a fluent in that sense. I'm quite fluent in Hindi also, but people think that just because you can speak uh, English, they consider you to be more qualified, and I don't think so. That's a benchmark to be set as a qualification, because a lot of I have met so many people who are well qualified, to, I mean, extremely intellect, great sense of intelligence. I've spoken to them in Assamese. Somehow I've able to. I've spoken to them in Hindi. I've spoken to them in a lot of different languages. Try to communicate, but I never accept. I'm sorry to say this. I don't accept as English to be as a benchmark, as a for to be a person to be more qualified or more intellect. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And there's somewhere around, like, it's also like it's decolonizing our economy. Like, let's take an example. When I was in school in Assam, Assamese was my third language, and for my friends also, some of them, Assamese was as a second language, but first language was always English. Why is not Assamese?
Okay, very interesting point, and I completely agree with you. First of all,
Yeah, that's what we were talking.
I have friends,
eventually.
but sorry to interrupt, now, guys. I'll just finish here. I have friends who are proper Assamese, proper Assamese, but when I ask them to read or write something, they're not very fluent about it.
they are not.
But then when I ask them to read or write in English, they're very fluent about it, and I feel this is decolonizing our state and our economy.
Very true. Very well said. But I would like to add something here. How do you solve this problem in a country like India, where every state has a different language? Even, listen to me, you are
True.
North Indian, right?
True.
Hindi is very much like the
Common.
national language. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
হিচাপত ময়ো ক'ব পাৰোঁ যে সব জায়গাত হিন্দী হিন্দী কিয় আছে ভাই আমাৰ আসাম আমি অসমীয়াত হেৰি কৰিব পাৰোঁ সেম বেংগলী পিপল কেন অলসো সে ভাই ইয়াত হিন্দী নালাগে হিন্দী নৰ্থ ইণ্ডিয়াতে থাকক
True.
ৰাইট so how do we really solve a problem like that
See, this is something like this is something that our entire country has been facing throughout. When let me state this, when Hindi was termed as a national language, the South said that why isn't South given a preference? The
Right.
East said why isn't East given a preference? The West said why isn't West given a preference? But this is something that we have been struggling throughout. But all I'm saying is, like, we shouldn't set, like, just because one person speaks English or French or Italian or German or whatever foreign languages very fluently as a benchmark, or as a set for, like, that person to be more intellect or more intelligent. That's all.
Oh, that's correct. It's correct. I mean, that's exactly
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
were talking all throughout the time. That English shouldn't be the pedestal of
Yeah, yeah.
your intellect.
Yeah.
But as he rightly said, because in India, every 100 kilometers there's a different language, there's a different dialect, there's a
Yeah.
different food, there's a different
Yeah,
community,
yeah.
there's different culture.
Yeah.
Now, in order to coexist in a country where where the diversity is intense, you, I mean, and again, this does not have to be that, I am demeaning a certain language or a certain culture by speaking or by having a national or a regional language in a certain aspect. Exactly like you said, when Hindi was given the place of the national language, even in South, people don't speak Hindi
They
now.
do- they don't.
If you go to
They
Bangalore,
don't.
they will actually neglect it a lot.
Exactly.
They
I have
would.
faced it.
I have faced it too when I go to the South. They would just not speak in that. So you can respect. I mean, again, coming to the very subjective matter of it, we can absolutely respect certain languages and our own language, of course. Let's say you spoke about Sanskrit. Now, Sanskrit came out of Devanagari script, so no one knows about it. There was a little long back. So, why the, and it all boils down to the progression nature of everything holistically.
Yeah.
Not just what's happening in my house or in my town or in my community or in my country. It is where the world is heading towards. We, with 8.3 billion people on the planet, you cannot, again this boils down to the fact that how can we impose one language or three language or 10 language or 10 religion and divide it amongst the entire billions of people. So we have to have a certain norms. Why is there a constitution of India and why don't Assam has a constitution for itself, or why don't West Bengal has a constitution for itself? The unification of the people will rely on certain standard parameters which has to be there. Doesn't mean that they have to speak Hindi or it's going to be unacceptable, or they have to speak Assamese or it's going to be unacceptable. But because we promote our country as, because this is what I feel, because so many people, like we are a billion people, man, 1.4 billion people of the planet. So having this entire population under one umbrella, having the same constitution, having one prime minister, having having one CM at a state, so many different cultures coming together, it's really going to be a chaos if there is everything in the specific languages. I mean, the bringing together under one umbrella is just going to be a dream, and we'll never be celebrating.
Impossible.
Then if something like this happens, we probably will not even be celebrating Independence Day on the same day.
True point.
You know,
Oh, yeah,
we will
yeah.
be celebrating when Lasit Borphukan was actually successful in Mughal Kheri court.
Let's take
You
an
know,
example of this also.
right?
like,
So we will be অসমৰ সেইটো কাৰণে হৈ যাব ন, অসমৰ কাৰণে সেইটো হৈ যাব, হেৰি কাৰণে বেলেগ হৈ যাব, গোৱা কাৰণে বেলেগ হৈ যাব, they'll have their own.
See from perspective, like, fine, I understand, since India is a very highly diversified like country,
intense.
but somewhere on the diversification also gives us a broader perspective about multiple things, and we should also respect that and move ahead with in life, like keeping that in mind.
Yeah. So that's exactly the whole point. So I am completely someone who's very against of, we are very rigidly and sentimentally attached to so many things that we have.
True.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I tell this to my friends. I tell this to so many people. I don't like it because most of the time life is whatever we are. It's because of the choices we've made.
True.
You've chosen to go to US. You've chosen to study in that specific university. She has chosen to take up the job. She can cry as much as she wants, but she has definitely chosen to take up that word. It's not like she was presented with an array of other issues, because she chose, because at least at that point of time it seemed like the best option that you have on your plate. I have chosen to come back from Pune to start a business, although my life is going through hell, but I've chosen to do that. So yeah, exactly. I mean, it all boils down to the choices, how you like to look at things, and the hindsight that you have. And the more progressive we are, the more inclusive we are with people and with our own perspectives, I think the happier and the better life we're gonna stay, rather than being so rigid about it. I mean, because I'm not, I'll be honest, so that's how it works.
Okay. So if we etu topic aru deep jabo pare, but
Let's
we
cut it
have
short for
yeah,
now.
Book লাগিছে.
yes, we will let's move on to another heri. So the thing is that yat tumi, you have studied outside. Where did you do your college from?
I did it from Boston, US, like, yeah.
Okay, you have done it purai bahiror pura ekdom pura.
So you studied your grads from
No, I did my grads from India, but I did
Where?
my masters in Calcutta. St.
Okay,
Xavier's.
Calcutta. Okay, that's what. You have done it in Pune, right?
Pune, yeah.
Pune, tumi kot korisa?
Bangalore.
Bangalore. Toy Shillongot koriso. Delhi. ঠিক আছে? So I would like to ask you. Huh?
মই ওচৰতে অসমৰ, মই যোৱা নাই কিন্তু
তই 2 ঘন্টা বাহিৰত গৈছ।
Very nice.
So okay, my point here is that, do you feel, মই মানে feel কৰো হা, মই এতিয়া এটা সৰু সুৰা ষ্টুডিঅ, I run this business, right? And ময়ো এটা দুটা মানুহ এমপ্লয় কৰো, তুমি হেতু আৰু অলপ লাৰ্জ স্কেলত কৰা, and তুমিও এটা কোম্পানীত কাম কৰি আছা। So do you feel বাহিৰত মানে নিজৰ কোম্পানী, this question will be more appropriate for you because তুমিও বিজনেছ ওনাৰ এটা হয়। Do you feel যে বিজনেছ এটা ষ্টাৰ্ট কৰাৰ আগত it's really necessary যে বাহিৰৰ ষ্টাৰ্টআপ হওক বা বাহিৰৰ কোম্পানীত অলপ হ'লেও 1-2 বছৰ কাম কৰি সেই work culture, hey, discipline life to ebar holo hikato necessary hoy boli tum bhaba na neba?
It is always good to get exposed to a certain industry before you step into that industry. এইটো মই কিয় ইণ্ডাষ্ট্ৰি স্পেচিফিক কৈছোঁ যিটো মই ভাবিছোঁ যদি মই এইটো কৰাহেঁতেন আই উড হেভ ডান আ লিটল বেটাৰ যিহেতু মই ফুড এণ্ড বেভাৰেজত আহিছোঁ I had nothing to do with food and beverage. Like literally, I was in the IT and sales and marketing. Of course, my sales and marketing forte to yato kamaise.
No.
And
See, you may be doing tomar business ho pare yat food business. But tumi tat IT kori asila. But what I'm talking about the principles. The mane kisuman bostu eta company, eta food company hok ba eta tomar space company hok. The discipline, the ladder system. Mane bahut kotha
yeah, a system. It helps. It helps. It helps. 100%.
Yeah. Do you also feel bahirot kam kori bahut bota hikibo paisa boli?
See,
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Can I just rephrase? Bahirot কাম কৰা বুলি নহয় লেটছ সে তুমি এটা এনেকুৱা এটা কোম্পানীত কাম কৰিছা য'ত এটা প্ৰপাৰ ষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰ ফ'ল' কৰা গৈছে বা যিটোৱে তোমাক সেই প্ৰিন্সিপলছটো এম্বাইব কৰিছে লেট ইজ নট জাষ্ট চে ডেট বাহিৰতেই তেনেকুৱা কোম্পানীজবোৰ আছে দেৰ আৰ চ' মেনি কোম্পানীজ হিয়াৰ অলছ' which are following an amazing
Nizom,
structure.
let's be honest, how many actually good startup successful companies are
Now numbers can vary, which will vary. Yeah, to me, now we always say Bangalore is a startup hub. And there's a joke or S for startup hai Bangalore, which is true. That's the culture, and everyone wants to do it. People are not doing it here. People are not doing it in another place. Numbers is a different ballgame. Let's say you're lucky enough to work in a company, or you're lucky enough to get exposed to an environment where their proper structure is followed. There's a discipline. There's a way how the work is getting done. And whereas there's another friend who's working in another company in the same place where none of these things even exist.
Yes.
So তোমালোকৰ দুইটাৰে যিটো perspective থাকিব এটা job বা এটা principle বা এটা businessক চোৱা একদম বেলেগ বেলেগ হ'ব. He will cry about it, you'll be very happy about it. So হেতু কাৰণে মানে
and when I said bahirot, I don't mean bahiror sob bostu bhal amar yar
Yeah,
sob
yeah,
bostu be. I did not mean
yeah.
that. What I meant was olop beleg jaga. Mane beleg jagat gole out of your comfort zone. Deeper level jodi sabole joa. Goe belegor underot কাম কৰি হে pressurized এটা systemত কাম কৰিলে বহুত হিকা যায়. হেকা বেছি হিকে I feel.
I mean 100%.
work ethic to মানে build over time যোনটো হয় মানুহৰ এটো বেলেগৰ আন্ডাৰত কাম কৰিলে I feel দে personally নিজৰ বিজনেছত বহুতখিনি মানে you will be more experienced on how to handle a team.
I feel it, yeah, yes, correct.
see, লাইফত কিছুমান এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চেছ আপুনি বেলেগৰ পৰা শিকিব বেলেগে নিজৰ এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চেছ ক'ব আৰু সেইটো পৰা শিকিব আৰু বহুত এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চেছ অকল আপুনি নিজে কৰি পেলাই শিকিব হয় নাই কামত এণ্ড I have come from a very good college. I had the best professor, best peers, and বহুত learning asil. But when you're working, you are dealing with people, okay? And hetu kaam kora homoyethe apuni hikibo pare. Because that is not till you are a student, you don't deal with that environment. Your ability to deal with people. So hetu kaam kora homoyethe paribo. যিটো কৈছে কাম কৰি থাকিলে পিছত আপুনি নিজৰ বিজনেছটো হেণ্ডল কৰিবলৈ হেল্প হয় দ্যাটছ নট অলৱেজ ট্ৰু সামটাইমছ ইউ আৰ সো ষ্টাক বিং এন এমপ্লয়ি এণ্ড পুৰা লাইফ আপুনি সেইটোৱে কৰিছে চ' ইউ কেন নট গ' দ্য আদাৰ ৱে ৰাউণ্ড ইউ চি চ' এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চে কেতিয়াবা আপোনাক এইটোও জনাব পাৰে যে আপোনাক কি আপুনি পাৰ্চিউ আৰু ফাৰ্ডাৰ নকৰিব এণ্ড আনলেছ এণ্ড আনটিল ইউ ট্ৰাই ডেট ইউ মাইট not know it.
Yeah, very true.
You might just not know it.
Yeah, correct.
Sometimes a good follower cannot always be a good leader.
Yeah.
Good leader cannot always be a good follower. I mean, eto nohoy that abilities nai. But when we are working, only then we understand amar kuntu strengths hoy, kuntu amar forte hoy, or kuntu amar forte nohoy. Heto bahut different hoy as a student or as someone who is working.
Exactly, হেতুৱে মোৰ পইণ্ট আছিলে মানে তুমি যেতিয়া কাম এটা কৰা কাৰোবাৰ আন্ডাৰত তুমি বেড এণ্ড গুড বহুত শিকা যায়
No, depends. I am saying শিকাটো বহুত মানুহৰ ওপৰত ডিপেণ্ড কৰে সাবজেক্টিভ আপুনি কেনেকৈ শিকিছে সেইটো আপোনাৰ মাইণ্ডছেটৰ হিচাপেহে আপুনি শিকিব চ' সেইটো মানুহৰ ওপৰত ডিপেণ্ড কৰে কিছুমানে সেইটো বস্তুৰ পৰা বেলেগ ধৰণে শিকিব পাৰে ময়ো বেলেগ ধৰণে শিকিব পাৰোঁ তাত চ' বাট লাৰ্ণিংটোতো হ'ব
সেইটোৱে ক'লো আল্টিমেটলি বেড হওক বেলেগ হওক লাৰ্ণিংটো হয়ে আৰু মোৰ একজেক্ট স্পেচিফিক কুৱেশ্যন এইটো আছিল যে মানে বেলেগৰ আন্ডাৰত সদায় এবাৰ হ'লেও কাম কৰিব লাগে ডেট ৱাজ মাই মানে let's just say that was the specific
because see as students also we do work no yeah. I did 6 months ka under some and then I get the 2 months ta agor ako moi 1 month korisilu as students only our curriculum was built like that
yes
so tetiao to ami korisilu ta pasoto to moi realize koribo paru na nohoy moi nijor to start korim নে মই কওঁ যে মই 1 year আৰু কাম কৰিম so that's your call you pick your own fight your according to your own strengths you do not follow what the other person is following you do what suits you the best your college years and your internships and all they are for you to understand which line do you want to take right Tetya, you should really give yourself a break reflect on what happened and then question yourself moi ki koribo lage what suits me the best
True. Some people figure it out এবছৰ আগত, some people figure it out little later. That's what you're saying, right?
sometimes people never figure it out
কিন্তু ইয়াৰ মাজত ৰাইট এনজে জি কৈছে ৰাইট কিন্তু তাৰ মাজত কি আৰু এটা কথা হাঁহি উঠি গ'ল
ভালে আছে, হাঁহিছাটো কমছে কম।
Question না, I just have 4 more questions.
ইয়াতে তুমি যোনটো ক'লা মানুহে এইটো মাইণ্ডছেট বহাই ল'ব নহয় যেনেকে মোৰ এতিয়াৰ বস্তু মোৰ ভাল কাৰণে মই নেক্সট জবটোত যে ভাল বছ এটা পাম সেইটো মিন নকৰে হয়নে মানে তাই কোৱা কথাটোৱে যে এইটো বস্তু মানুহে ফিক্স কৰি ল'ব নালাগে যে আমাৰ লাইফত এনেকুৱা এজন ভাল মানুহে পাম মোৰ বছ যে মোক ইমানখিনি বুজি পায় নহয় কজ তেতিয়া কি হ'ব মই মোৰ কমফৰ্ট জোনত সোমাই যাম ন সদায় এইটো ভাবিব লাগে যে নেক্সট জবটোত মোৰ বেয়া এজন মানুহ মোৰ বছ হ'ব
see I am saying ki you work on your abilities tumar communication skills bhal hoy na nohoy so tumar jodi bhal nohoy then you need a more understanding boss you understand your weaknesses and your strengths tumar jodi leadership heri hoy then you cannot be just given in a group you have to be placed as a leader you have to be honest about it when you are placed there that's what I'm saying that baki beleg scenario beleg environment it's not in your control but tumar kotha tumi nije jodi na jana other people are going to define it for you Right.
Point. That point to be noted.
Yes. Okay, so one more thing related to 9 to 5, which Nizom, I asked you this back in our previous episode also. So basically, which never came out. So basically, Manhu.
Thank you for putting that.
I want this question is for everyone. Okay, Manhu ko thatta kore 9 to 5 kori aso toy get a life bro. Nizor retire early. Mane all those people who say that no. First of all, has to understand that মানে আমাৰ আগৰ জেনেৰেশ্যন আমাৰ মা দেউতা হত মেক্সিমাম মানুহৰ কথাই কৈছো 9 to 5 কৰি আমাক ভাল ভাল স্কুলত পঢ়ালে বাহিৰত পঠাই পেনাই এক্সপোজাৰ দিয়ালে যি যত লাগে আমাৰ নেসেসিটিজ পুৰা কৰিলে সো ইন এ সেন্স তেওঁলোকক ঠাট্টা কৰা টাইপু হৈ যায় যে কি আমাৰ মা দেউতাই কি লাইফটো ওয়েস্ট কৰি দিলে নেকি হেনেকা কথা নহয় তো যে বিজনেস কৰিলে হে ইউ আর সাকসেসফুল ইন লাইফ নহয় তো সাম 9 to 5 can be মানে কাৰবাৰ কাৰণে ভাল হ'ব পাৰে হেতু লাইফষ্টাইল সো what do you guys have to say about that মানে এটু যে কয় যে retire early 9 to 5 কিয় কৰি আছো bro এইবিলাক যে কয়
this comes down to a very lifestyle perspective which we are talking মানে কি হয় না আমাৰ end result to ki the moment we see someone making more money doing something anything for that matter is being more accepted and is being more respected. So let's say influencers were laughed upon initially when they used to do stuff, but then suddenly they started making money and they became like some people that they are very respected upon. You get it? So it hey bostu to mane tenekwa hoy result and what would make you more respected in the society. Initially amak mahote koisil je khoday doctor babu bonibo lage ba lawyer bonibo lage ba heri bonibo lage. Again they are not wrong. তুমি যদি ক'লা যে সিহঁতে 9 to 5 তেওঁলোকে আমাৰ মাহঁতে 9 to 5 কৰি পেলাই আমাক পঢ়াইছে লিখাইছে which is great and this thing has been used as a marketing by a lot of people that quit 9 to 5 live a life. I mean what the fuck, I mean are people who are doing 9 to 5 not living or what? So and then I have my own perspective to these people who come start a business and you'll do 12 to 12 you'll not even sleep but hey to hey so it looks good. Whatever social media has given a very facade notion of how life should be, but the point is this is something that one of my best friend's sister told me. She was very good at baking. I told her are start baking to kyo baking start kora nai to iman bhal kam tot molu to she was doing a job then মই তাইক জবটো এৰিবলৈ কোৱা নাই মই তাইক বেকিং কৰিবলৈ কৈছোঁ তাই ভাবিছে মই তাইক জবটো এৰিবলৈ কৈছোঁ but then she told me very important thing because তোৰ aspiration levels আৰু মোৰ aspiration level match নহয় তই যদি 10টা ঘৰ বিচাৰ মোক নালাগে 10টা ঘৰ মোক এটা ঘৰ লাগে so you don't try to tell me that you know this is going to be better for you and then it makes sense like it actually makes sense I mean why am I telling her that I am telling her to build her craft but it is eventually going on saying that ki toy etu aru beshi bhal koribi maybe she would have done it maybe she would have not done it but I am no one to tell her what she should be doing I can suggest her And that's exactly when I figured out, and I have so many people who are very damn happy doing a 9 to 5. When I was doing 9 to 5, I was living my best life. I can tell this on the face. I was living the best life. I was having consistent money. I didn't have to do that much of work which I'm doing. I was blessed with great bosses, great companies. So I was doing great. I'm not saying I'm having a bad life now, but I'm definitely saying that I'm working my way ass off what I was doing back then. So let's really get off the notion of not just 9 to 5, that someone has to be a doctor only, or someone has to be a lawyer only, or someone has to be an engineer only, or someone has to be an MBA only. Let's আমি এই নোশনছবোৰৰ পৰা বাহিৰত যাব লাগে আৰু আমি জানিব লাগে যে what are we good at. Let the
what fits our lifestyle also.
What fits our lifestyle and what kind of an aspirations we have. I know so many people who are very much into, I need this amount of money, I need this house, I want a good husband or a wife,
And
I
then
need to have
Netflix
kids.
and
Yeah, and I'm very happy with my life, and which is absolutely amazing. Why am I? They're not bothered about the social media
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Most of the people are bothered about the social media thing because they want to have certain things that people seem to have in the limelight.
Yeah.
So I think this is very vague. Please don't get in the hawks of quitting 9 to 5. Do what you like. Do what gives you the life that you want. If you are happy with dal chawal, and if whatever you're doing is giving you dal chawal, please don't run behind chicken, mutton and stuff, because that is what you wanted, that is what you're working for, that is what you're getting. As simple as that. Very subjective.
Taik, which brings me back to Taik was যোনটো কথা তুমি কৰি থাকিলে গম পাবা তুমি ফলোৱাৰ হয় না লিডাৰ হয়, and accordingly তোমাৰ যি ভাল লাগে তুমি হেতু বস্তু কৰি আছা, right? Is it? So you guys also agree to this points, right? Okay. So আৰু এটা কথা মোৰ সুধিব মন আছিলে এইটো, আমি এজ এ ষ্টুডেণ্টছ আমি এনেকা এমিটিড এডমিশ্যন লওঁ, you know, ক'ৰবাত লওঁ IIM this and that, right? তাত মানে what I noticed no মোৰ জেনেৰেশ্যনত lots of educated people but are hopeless in terms of মানে jobs and all these things. মানে কি হয়, I'll get to the point. মই এমিটিড এডমিশ্যন পাই গ'লো ন, মোৰ থাৰ্ড ইয়েৰৰ পিছত মোৰ প্লেচমেণ্ট হৈ যাব, and then নহয়. And then they are all crying ki, where are our jobs? We are not getting jobs as we were promised. But what they don't speak about is education and building skill set is totally different thing. Mane you can be a BA like some sort of engineer পঢ়িছ চাকে, but তোৰ সেই skill set to নাই সেই মতে. Theoretical knowledge তো বহুত থাকিব পাৰে, but practical skill set to কাম কৰি এটা আৰ্টিষ্ট আৰ্ট স্কুলত গ'ল, বাট সেই আৰ্টিষ্টজনী যোনে কিছুমান আৰ্টিষ্ট আছে যোনে আৰ্ট স্কুলত নগৈও পেইণ্টিং কৰি ইনষ্টাগ্ৰামত উঠি পেলাই her paintings are being sold for millions, right? তো কথাটো হৈ গ'ল যে do you think there is a big মানে confusion between proper education and proper skill set or যোনটো মানে
absolutely. I think she already said an answer in that. I think she can tell it better.
See, I think so. Your education, if you're opting for the education and when it goes with whatever profession that you want to go ahead with, then it should develop your skill sets. Then why did you take that education if it has nothing to contribute to your skill sets, right? If that's the case, then you should you should bring up that question. Why am I paying these fees? Why did I come here if you were not to develop that? If only I could do that at home and use Instagram, then why am I a student at your college?
No.
So I'm saying your own skills is obviously, but you are in an institution. It is supposed to help you there, okay? And you're supposed to take that help. And you are also you have to give your own effort, like, you know, apuni jetu hudisil je kaam koribo lagibo ta pisot hebo job to lagiboi, but you know, for skill sets tumar bohi pelai tumi bhabila tumar প্লেটত চাৰ্ভ হৈ যাব বা কিবা, এনেতো এনেও কেতিয়াও নহয়, কিন্তু এটা লেভেললৈকে এক্সপেক্টেশ্যন হ'ব তুমি এখন ইউনিভাৰ্চিটিৰ হয় তুমি ইমানটো জানিবা, সেইটোত একো ভুল নহয়. এণ্ড ৱেন ইউ আৰ নট এবল টু ডু দেট, আইদাৰ ইটছ তোমাৰ ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যনৰ ফল্ট হ'ব পাৰে, তোমাৰ নিজৰো ফল্ট হ'ব পাৰে, বাট ইউ শ্বুড ৰিফ্লেক্ট অন ইট, ইউ শ্বুড থিংক এবাউট ইট. এণ্ড যদি এনেকুৱা কিবা আছে দেট ইউ পেড ফৰ ইট, ইউ ডিডন্ট গেট ইট, দেন দেটছ ৰং. That means you might have been cheated in some way, or you might have cheated your whole education life.
No. Okay, I'll ask you one question. Huh? College is guaranteeing you a good theoretical education, right?
I don't think so because for example, design. We are from design colleges. I'm from the design college. We do not go for theory. We do practical.
No, that's what I'm saying. তাত তোমাক শিকোৱাটো সিহঁতে শিকাব বাট প্ৰেক্টিচ কৰা ঘৰত গৈ পেলাই আৰু স্কিল
We do
ছেটটো
not
ডেভেলপ
learn. We do not learn at home. We learn everything at our college. We learn it from our peers.
See, you learn at your home, but you build up your skills by doing the same thing repeatedly at home, at park, at wherever you want. তুমি
See,
যদি
it's
কোডিং
not,
শিকি আছা শুনা শুনা তুমি কলেজত বহি সেই ক্লাছটোতে শিকা বুলি ক'ব নোৱাৰা তাৰপিছত ঘৰত বহি যেতিয়া তুমি বেলেগ বেলেগ ধৰণৰ ৱেবছাইট বনাব চেষ্টা কৰি আছা কিবা কৰি আছা ইভেঞ্চুৱেলি ইউ লাৰ্ণ মাই পইণ্ট অফ দিছ কুৱেশ্যন ৱাজ ডেট আমাৰ ইণ্ডিয়াত বহুত আমাৰ ইউথ আছে যোনে বহুত ভাল ভাল এডুকেশ্যন লৈ ৰাখি বহি আছে কিন্তু কিয় পোৱা নাই মোৰ পাৰ্চনেল বিলিফ এইটো যে তেওঁলোকৰ ভাল স্কিল ছেট নাই সেই জবটোক ডিমাণ্ড পূৰা কৰিবলৈ
See, সব ধৰণৰ সব বেলেগ বেলেগ ধৰণৰ স্কিল ছেটছ আছে সব ধৰণৰ হেৰি আছে তাৰমানে এইটো নহয় যে তোমাৰ এডুকেশ্যনটো হ'ব পাৰে তোমাৰ যিখিনিও এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ আছে অকল তোমাৰ এডুকেশ্যন ইজ নট জাষ্ট আ ডিগ্ৰী ন ইটছ অলছ' এবাউট দ্য হোল তাত স্পেচিয়েলাইজেশ্যনছ থাকিব তাত তোমাৰ ইণ্টাৰ্ণশ্বিপছৰ এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ থাকিব কিবা থাকে সেই গোটেইখিনি এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ লৈ পেলাই তুমি সেইটো চাবা হা তুমি somebody who doesn't like to talk and তাক কমিউনিকেশ্যন হেৰি দি দিছে সেইটো ৰঙে তাততো কেইটামান স্কিল ছেটছ আছে ন
সেইটো বেলেগে টপিক সেইটো এটা বেলেগ চেপ্টাৰ মই কৈছো তুমি গলা ইঞ্জিনিয়াৰিঙত তোমাৰ মনো আছিলে পঢ়িলা মেলিলা কিন্তু ইউ আৰ এ এডুকেটেড গাধা বুজি পাইছা তোমাৰ স্কিল ছেট একো নাই তুমি ৰাট্টা মাৰিলা খালি
but our field is not like that no
But
No, he's talking not about your field. He's talking about holistic.
generally but I am talking about my field
okay.
so that rattamara thing is not applicable only
In your space, it's not
Yeah.
applicable. Yeah.
No, মই এটা জেনেৰেল টাৰ্মত আমাৰ ইউথটো তুমি এটা বস্তু জানানে যে হাউ আৰ ইউথ আৰ ৰিয়েলি জবলেছ তুমি জানানে কথাটো উই আৰ অল ভেৰি এডুকেটেড উই অল হেভ লটছ অফ ডিগ্ৰীজ হা বাট ভালকে চাকৰি নেপায় তাৰপিছত কান্দে কি কাৰণে কান্দে যে আমাকতো প্লেচমেণ্ট দিব বুলি কৈছিলে কিন্তু নিদিলে কিন্তু টপ 5টাই পাইছে টপ
you are not just capable enough to make it
Exactly.
I think I can contribute to answer by saying something. Every year, thousands of students are getting graduated from thousands of colleges across the country, but thousands of jobs are not being generated by the companies. So there's a huge gap, like where the economy is struggling to fulfill, and which is leading to an unemployment. That's where the role of a startup comes up. I have friends like who are very very talented, extremely intelligent. They know how to get the job done, but for some reason they are unable to get themselves placed because the company who wanted to hire themselves, they have already overhired.
আচ্ছা
And sometimes what happens is like you go to a top-notch college. The college tells you that we are going to place you, but somewhere down the line they also try to give you an opportunity so that you get like an employment. But since you need to understand, thousands of students are graduating. Let's take in Assam. There's so many colleges in Assam. B. Barua College, so many colleges. I'm not going to try and name anyone in particular. Try and chop that part out. So there's so many colleges, but thousands of jobs are not being generated, and there's a huge gap of like unemployment taking place. So this is a big.
okay
Which is true. What he's saying is, both of them are saying is absolutely on point.
So
It's
you're
because there is a disparity.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the appetite of having 5 kgs, but then you have bought food of 10 kgs. Obviously, the 5 kg is going to go to waste because only 5 kgs can be taken.
I know.
So what
many-
he's saying is absolutely on point. So I mean, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Just putting this thing. What you are trying to say, and where I agree, is that so many MBA college. I'm an MBA graduate as well. So many MBA college would market themselves by saying that no one would focus on saying about their education. They'll focus on saying what is the placement they are giving. It's a marketing gimmick that they are playing, and most of us are looking at that marketing gimmick only. But then we have forgotten that throughout the entire process, what we have to do is we have to mold our skills in a certain way that we get placed. Now, what you're saying is, let's say it's a next scenario. We don't even have that much of seats, so how we can intake you. Let's say there are seats. Let's assume there are seats. But then the reason why these candidates are not getting selected is because, and again I can speak for my own course because which I'm doing as an MBA graduate, we will be taught sales and marketing and management and blah 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 blah, and some on-field experiences as well. What if some individual who has paid the same amount of fees has not expedited that entire 2 years of the college to make the most out of that. And the end of the day, when he or she sits at at an interview, they're not able to crack one interview, two interview,
Yeah.
three interview. Now, mind you, the college has bought the great companies. Those companies have vacancies as well. Considering that, why has this individual not got placed?
Because somewhere down the line, I feel the company, they want a top-notch student from a top-notch school, having a top-notch grade, having top-notch, like, like a performance in college. But the thing is, like, in today's time, many of us don't fall into that category.
Many of us don't fall into
They
that
want
category.
to filter the best
It,
and
that-
remain the.
everyone wants it.
Everyone wants it. Yeah, that's
You
true.
want the same. I would want the same.
But yeah,
But-
that's also one of the cause, since everyone wants to filter the best for themselves.
Yeah.
What happened to the ones that remains behind? That's also causing a big unemployment.
Yeah, I mean that's the one. Let's say when someone goes to IIM, they would not come to a grade or a B plus college where I have studied, because they know, bhai, mere paas paisa hai. I can pay 30 lakhs rupees, 40 lakhs rupees per annum. So they would want that. But then there are different jobs require different set of skill sets, right? Of course, I mean someone who will be paid that much will be expected to deliver that much as well. However, someone who will be paying like 10 to 15 will be expected to deliver at same level
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
But what if, even though you fall in that category, you have paid that much of fees, you fit in that job role, you have that skill set, the reason why you will not qualify for that is because somewhere you have lagged amongst what the college has presented to you. Because I see amongst so many of my friends where why I was able to do certain things, or why some of my friends were able to do certain set of things and I was not able to do it, is because I didn't make use of that opportunity and they did, then they cracked that. Vice versa works in the same way as well. So I think coming back to the bottom line, how we should be doing it is as when you are getting into a college, get into, or any institution or anything for that matter, get there with the mindset of, you know what, let's make the most out of the because you're paying fees there, right? They'll be giving you the food, they'll not freaking chew it for you. You got to chew it, you got to choose the food, you got to do as much as you
Also,
can.
you
So,
need to understand your niche by the end. You will
Yes,
do it. Yeah.
very
Yeah.
what are you
The
good at?
whole point you're saying now, job কিয় নাপায়, because see সিহঁতি কিবা এটা set of লৈ আহিছে, you also have to say that তই পাইছ বুলিয়ে এইটো নহয় that you should go for that job. Is it your niche? সেইটো জানিবতো লাগিব ন?
Very true.
Absolutely.
I think
absolutely.
এইটো আমাৰ ইয়াত লাহে লাহে এতিয়া আহিছে, আমাৰ পেৰেণ্টছেও আমাক আমাৰ নিজটো ফ'ল' কৰিব দিয়া হৈছে। ই কেইবছৰমানৰ আগত now okay, he's doing really good right now as a cinematographer, and Mridu
Behind the camera.
with the camera. যেতিয়া লগ পাই আছে, I was still doing this
Water?
thing,
No?
freelancing in Delhi, and CA ফাৰ্ম এটাত কাম কৰি আছে, কৈ আছে মোৰ বোলে হেৰি বোলে কিছুমান বেয়াতকে বেয়া হেৰিতকেও মোৰ কম 5,000 টকা মোৰ চেলেৰি। ফ্ৰাষ্ট্ৰেটেড মই, বাট আই ৱান্ট টু ডু দিছ মানে, I want to do this, এনেকৈ ফ্ৰাষ্ট্ৰেটেড হৈ আহিছে। এণ্ড দেন চিন্স দেন ইউ ফ'ল'ড ইয়ৰ নিচ এণ্ড ইউ আৰ ডুইং ৰিয়েলি গ্ৰেট। চ' you know, this message is out for all the people. যি ভাল লাগে সেইটো বস্তু কৰা, then it's not going to feel like work, like you said, right?
Yeah, but then also understand the commercial perspective of it. Can you make a living out of it or not?
Of course, there has to be a middle ground.
Balance
Spot
এটা তো
আমি
লাগিব।
Yeah,
বিচাৰিব
balance
লাগিব।
it লাগিব, right?
Yes. So,
Or else you just end up hating it.
Yeah, you end up hating yourself.
মই আৰু ইয়াত
Yeah,
বহি যদি
always.
কওঁ মোক আইচ স্কেটাৰ হ'ব মন আছে, there is no scope for ice skating out here, মানে to be মানে as you understand, right?
Yeah.
That thing is just not there. Basketball player হৈ পিনে মই তামাম কামাও, it's just not there মানে। তো সেইটো বস্তু অলপ বুজিব লাগিব, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we are about to end, but before please
Hook lice.
please. Acha. So before wrapping up, I wanted to ask you mane this thing je mane what advice would you want to give to up and coming startup companies বা a person who is willing to start their own business in Guwahati, mane ki problems সবে ফেস কৰে, বাট তুমি ফিল কৰা যে এইকেইটা বস্তু আহিবই তোমাৰ লাইফত আৰু তুমি ৰেডি হৈ থাকিব লাগে, মানে কি এডভাইস?
Yeah. So, first of all, I don't think I'm very eligible to give an advice, but I can share some experiences which will help. মানে or at least কাৰণ কি হয়, মই এতিয়াও বহুত এটা nascent stage আছো in my business world. কাৰণ I still don't consider myself as a startup thing. I consider myself as a business professional. I'm not disrupting the market with something different that I'm doing. So কি হৈছে ন প্ৰথমতে এটলিষ্ট দুখন ভৰি পানীত একেলগে দি নিদিবা মানে অকণমান পানীৰ ডেপটো অকণমান মেজাৰ কৰি চাবা what I mean by that is don't try to go all in something unless you are very very sure that this thing is going to work out অকণমান try to test the market, try to do certain things because I came with a certain perspective to do certain things here, but I was not able to do because so many things. I was not able to do some things and the market was not able to do for some things, so on and so forth. So try to understand the market first. অকণমান মাৰ্কেটটো বুজাটো খুব ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট যে কি হৈছে কি হোৱা নাই কি চলিব কি নচলিব জাষ্ট তুমি ক'লা ice skating to viable নহয় কেনেকৈ viable হ'ব আমাৰ বৰফে নপৰে but you're so inclined to bring ice skating then you have to do something very crazy to bring that stuff up. Is it viable for you? Is it okay for you? Are you willing to take that risk? If you can, please go for it. If you cannot, then you might as well want to test the waters before you go all in. And second thing is that ki at least it's not an advice, it's just like that if you're any day if you're trying to get into a business kind of a thing, here is something that you have to understand. There's a lot that the business will take from you in the initial stages. Like it's gonna take a lot of your peace, it's gonna take a lot of your money, it's gonna take a lot of your efforts, it's gonna take a lot of your time, it's gonna take a lot of your vacation, a lot of your holidays, a lot of your lifestyle. It's gonna take it away.
Sacrifice करिबो ready हो जाओ.
हाँ मैंने या तो आपके पापा के पास बहुत पैसा है तुम उसको उड़ाओ तो अच्छी बात है, यू आर लकी इनफ. तो अगर नहीं है and you want to get into a business and especially for people who have let gone of the stable money that they were getting consistently and you suddenly let go of that money, try to get the try to build up that mental space that this is how my life is going to be for a very long period of time. And I think only then, and again no one can say about the time, so I think these are the two things that I would love to tell everyone who's watching this content.
But अपना टाइम आएगा है नहीं
अरे आएगा कैसे नहीं आएगा
आएगा
आएगा तुम सागोर को
Thank you guys for
रो की आइनो का क्वेश्चन আছে रो
subscribe.
subscribe
Yeah, did it harm.
रो they say there is this saying that great leaders are great readers. I don't know if I made that up, but
no you're correct no you're correct. I mean this is I mean
No, performer.
again there's a match that say that the best CEOs read like 500 books a day. I don't know how to read 500 books a day, man. Oh, sorry 500 books a year year my bad.
বেছিয়ে
Okay.
fail হৈ গ'ল।
Oh, year
so like I said
book আছে জানো ইয়াৰত 5 বছৰৰ
কি
মই ভুলতে ক'লো এদিনত ভুলতে
so মই basically এটো হুদি কৈ আছিলো যে there is this saying that great leaders are also great readers. মানে I wanted to end the podcast with this যে how important to all of you feel reading is in our day to day life, and which is that one book, if there is any book that you suggest to our audience june tomar life change kori dise. First of all, with you, do you think reading is important?
Oh yeah, very important, very important, because I come from a training perspective where I have a thing where reading is important for your vocal things and for your speaking things as well. So from one perspective I'm saying it's very important, from other perspective also it's very important.
Okay, one book that you suggest that changed your life.
The monk who sold his Ferrari.
Okay, by Jay Shetty.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Think like a monkey.
Think like a monkey.
That is Think Like a Monk. I'm so sorry. I
forgot the author. I did read that.
But The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari is one read that everyone should always have. It gives you perspective.
And what about you? Tumi bhabane je reading is very important in your life?
It's important, but at this moment I am not really, I should be, but I would say right now most of my learning is from doing,
Okay.
because I am right now working with the ground level.
Hmm.
Sometimes with whatever you read that have a very different approach, different perspective, and that doesn't suit. And sometimes you just block it when you read that. You have already a pre-notion thought and it doesn't fit. So সেইটো নচলে.
Correct.
So right now এটা গ্ৰাউণ্ডত যিটো শিকিছোঁ মোৰ কাৰণে বহুত আনলাৰ্নিং হৈ আছে to learn that. তো সেইটো I think মোৰ কাৰণে বহুত difference create কৰিছে.
Any book that you might want
Not
to?
right now.
Okay. What about you?
I feel definitely reading is definitely one of the best thing a person can do. Since in my personal opinion, a person learns from two things. First is by experiencing himself, or by experiencing from others, or by reading books or something or the other. So basically from themselves, or by experiencing from others. So yeah, reading is definitely one of the best things for personal growth. Yeah.
Also try drugs, you can learn from marijuana.
Also that you mentioned, এটা এনেকুৱা নাম আছে নেকি? So মোৰ কাৰণে মই যদি সোধে, it's a journal, it's your journal যিটো you should maintain and you should reflect back also.
Like the one you write every day before going to bed?
Not before going to bed, but like journal isn't we maintain কৰিছা your learnings or this thing, or if yeah, because we do follow that thing. আমি কিবা ডিজাইন এটা বনালেও we have that notebook that we made which talks about the design process. I'm now হেতু এটা প্ৰডাক্টৰ কাৰণে আমি কৰোঁ every time, but then এটা জাৰ্নিও আমি হিচাপে কৰোঁ.
Self growth haru mane
Self
overall.
growth, yeah.
Yeah.
But you did not mention any book.
Bhagavad Gita.
মই এটা আশা কৰি দিম নেকি?
কি স্যার?
BJP ভক্তৰ তই ক
লাৰ্নিং ডিপ অলপ
কি লাৰ্নিং ৰিডিং
deep sleep to me deep sleep এতিয়া বে
সেইকাৰণে পঢ়িলে মানুহে জানে আৰু বহুত বুকছ আছে চোৱা এনেকুৱা নহয় যে মানে কোনোবাই এনেকুৱা এখন কিতাপ পঢ়ি ভাল পায় যোনটো কলা ন কি
Monk Soulless
Ferrari তো হয়তো তুমি হেনেকুৱা বুকছ পঢ়ি
yeah it's more like self help kind of book
কিছুমানে ভাল পায় নিজৰ এটা মই এখন পঢ়িছিলো জয় শেট্টিৰ এটো think like a monk তো হেতু মানে সবৰে বেলেগ টাইপস অফ
দুইটাই সেলফ হেল্পতে পৰে
ও বলেছিল এতে মাত্র
নহয়
হয়তো তাই চাই ফিকশনেলৰ কথা ক'ব নেকি হ্যারি পটাৰ
নহয় এইটোৱে তো বহুতৰ এনেকুৱা থাকে যে নিজকে নিজৰ বুকছৰ বেলেগ তো মই ভাবো যে যোনে যেনেকুৱা পঢ়ি ভাল পায় বাট ইয়েস পঢ়িব লাগে আৰু হে বুলি আৰু
which book
বুক
R.D. Sharma নকো ভাবে
maths
oh you remember that okay do you remember
গুটে স্কুল লাইফটো এনসিআরটি পঢ়ুতে গ'ল আৰু তাৰ পিছত এতিয়া বুকছ পঢ়াটো টাইমে নাথাকে মানুহৰ মূৰ পঢ়ুতে যায়
what are we human libraries
okay মই পাৰ্সোনালি এটা কথাই কম যে পঢ়িব লাগে খুব বেছি বিকজ আমাৰ কনজাম্পশন ন আমি ইনফৰমেশন যেতিয়া কনজিউম কৰো we can do it from কোনবাই মানুহে আমাক যেতিয়া কৈ থাকে ডাইৰেক্টলি বা আমি ভিডিঅ'জ যেতিয়া চাওঁ বা বুক পঢ়ো ৰাইট মই ফিল কৰো পাৰ্সোনালি বেয়াকে ইনগ্ৰেইন মানে হুমাই যায় যেতিয়া আমি পঢ়ো more than watching something ইউটিউবতো তো top 10 facts about হেৰি but হেতুৱে যদি আমি পঢ়ো ন লিটাৰেলি পঢ়ো I feel যে ব্ৰেইনত বেছি বেয়াকে হুমাই যায় instead of watching it
বেয়াকে হুমাই যায়
my personal
মানে বেছিকে হুমাই যায়
বেছিকে মানে store
you're just saying learning from a screen is easy to learn and easy to forget, right?
yes that's my point আৰু learning from a book
কয় হে শুন না মুভিখন যেনেকে আমি চাই আহিলো পুৰা মুভিখন আমি ক'ব পাৰো দেখোন মানুহৰ
তুমি মন দি চাইছা ন
I'll tell you
তা বাদ দে এতিয়া
anything that you do that involves more of your sensory organs more sensory organs is involved in doing that work anything would have more retention in your brain so that's the point
okay guys we want to have
মই ভুজিয়া খাও অলপ ৰ ভুক লাগিছে
we have to end the podcast
ভুজিয়া খোৱা আৰু ভুক লাগিছে তোমাৰ
this is one of the longest episodes that we have done and it was a really good one thank you so much guys for joining Yash Angie Nizom Kasturi Mridu aru you know we will do this again hopefully
you're like oh sure just let us know prior
For sure.
पहले बता का सालो मैं तो बस तुझे हाय बोलने आया था
so anyway guys we are all really tired and hungry it's about 10:30 now and guys if you like this episode please like share subscribe share it with your friends and families and apni jodi amar conversation bhal pai aru kiba feel kore mane apuni add koribo pare তাত তো আপোনালোকে তলৰ কমেন্টছত লিখিব যি মন যায় বেয়াকে অ্যাবিউজ কৰাকে নিলিখিব ভাল কথা লিখিব আৰু with that said
ইংলিশত কৈছে
good night
with that said
good morning ত বুলে আপলোড দি দিলে
thank you so much Adit for having us আমি সবে ভাগৰি গৈছে মই কৈ দিছো আৰু thank you for having us it was indeed very insightful conversation
Yes.
insightful to বেলেগকে কি বুলি কয় মই নাজানো হেতু কাৰণে মই insightful এ কৈছো আৰু
A perfect example of decolonization.
yeah exactly we're really happy to be there
গহীন গম্ভীৰ
বেয়া কমেণ্টছ বেয়া দিব আৰু বেলেগ দিব আৰু গহীন গম্ভীৰ দি দিছে কিবা কিবি
Too deep. Like.
but yeah
Alright,
we should
guys.
meet more often yeah
Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time.
Yeah.
Bye.